Oh. Who do we have here? Who do we have here? Oh, who do we have here? It's a moosey man. Psst, psst, psst. Moosey, moosey, moose. Moosey, moosey, moose. Gotta love it, the moosey man. Hello, ladies. Hello, ladies. Oh, yeah, the moosey man. Woohoo! Of course, he had to get the moosey man in there. Hey guys, it's Sabrina. I just wanted to pop in for this got started and wish every single one of you a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, in case I don't see you before then, but I'm going to try. This is just a little thrown together bits and pieces of some different videos, and I just tried to make sure it was like winter kind of theme so y'all can get the mind going on what you want to do for winter. And if you see any kind of Christmassy kind of stuff, just pull that Christmas stuff out and then change it into your own winter DIYs. So this is only my little second Christmas winter here on the YouTubes, and so not too much, but maybe it's something you can watch and listen to and binge while you're finishing up some cookies or some cleaning or some wrapping those presents last minute. I hope you guys enjoy this. Hopefully it's something you haven't seen, but if you've seen it 3 times, watch it a 4th or just listen. It doesn't matter to me. And I want to thank all of my OG subscribers for being here since the very beginning. And even if you haven't, I love you guys so much. Go ahead, give a thumbs up, comment, describe me. Yeah, that won't take you too long. Hot Mess Express. Whoop, whoop. Okay. And I just wanted to say thank you guys. That sums that up. 2025 was amazing. I cannot wait to see what 2026 brings us, and hopefully I can get my hot, messier self better even more. But we shall see. I make no promises here, and you know that. The Moose Man and I and all my other fur babies wish you a very Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Y'all be safe, make good choices, and I hope everybody has a blessed Christmas with your family and loved ones. Hearts and love to all of you who might be missing someone this holiday season. I am right there with you, but I know a lot of you have experienced some recent loss. But we got this. We're going to pull through. Know that I'm always here for you guys. I love you so much. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and let's see what 2026 brings us. I hope you enjoy this little winter compilation. I love you guys. Mwah. Bye, guys. Don't forget, guys, this is a compilation video of my past 2 winters here, so nothing's in order, and it's a big hot mess, just as you would expect. We're going to make us a little snowflake wreath where we're going to welcome all our flaky friends. So as you can tell, this is a very well-used grapevine wreath here that I had in my stash. Again, using everything from my stash, people. Still crafting my stash. That snowflake was from the Dollar Tree, and presto poof, we painted it with Snow White, and presto poof, I got on my Cricut and cut out all flakes welcome, and also little pieces of a little snowman face with a couple snowflakes. I'll get the words out here in a minute. It's been a couple weeks since I've done this, so I'm a little okay. Trying to make things better for you guys. I hope you like my little intro. I got a little bit of an ending as well, but I don't know how well I'm going to be able to match it up with, you know, my little subscribe picture and all that kind of stuff. And you guys can see what I'm doing here while I'm yakking. I hope you guys had a very good new year, and let's go 2025. I hope to bring you guys some fun and exciting shenanigans, and I hope you like what's happening. And if you don't, let me know. Make sure you hit that like, comment, subscribe, share it with your friends. Tell them to come join this Hotness Express train, because we just are rolling down that hill. Anyway, so I got all my vinyl on my snowflake after I painted it with Snow White by Waverly. I'm taking my black marker Sharpie there just to outline. That was white vinyl, and on the white snowflake it didn't pop very well, so I just kind of outlined it. I'm now just taking another Sharpie. That was a very fine point Sharpie that I did the hat in, but around the outside edge here, I'm using just a regular fine point Sharpie. And I went and kind of just made a loop, doop. And then I go and I put a dot. See, I'm dot, because I did not connect the lines all the way through. I kind of like that little whimsical kind of top thing there. So then just touching a couple things up. And again, I still like to shake things because I think y'all want to see me shake everything. Anywho, so I'm going to put a little jute twine through that hole at the top. That's the hanger anyway. I'm going to make a little lark's head knot and loop it up and around the grapevine wreath. And you can already see it's got a loop up there at the top for us to hang the wreath. And I'm just going to put that through there. And then we're going to loop it through there. And then it's going to go over there. And I'm going to tie a knot in the end of it down there so that the snowflake hangs on. But not only that, everywhere that any snowflake, any little one of its little legs, its flakes, I guess you could say, touches the grapevine wreath, I want to put a little bit of glue on it. So this is what's going to be great about a grapevine wreath. I'm going to add some greenery and some floral and some foofy stuff. You don't have to glue this stuff in. That's why grapevine wreaths are great. You can just stick that stuff in and only have to put a little bit of glue if you want. You can tell on the other side of this, somebody used a whole lot of glue, and I also had to take some twine and wrap it back around because it was kind of starting to fall apart. But we're going to save this baby. Yeah. We're going to keep it going. We're going to craft in the stash, baby. So here's all the goodies I got. I got pine. I got this silver stuff, this white stuff, this stick stuff with foam and fluff. And you see silver eucalyptus over there to the right. And I have a hard time doing this because I'm so picky and I've got too much stuff is what I got. And I don't know what I want, and I don't really know what looks good because I'm no florist, like most of us say. We didn't take no floral design class, and I'm no florist, and I just make my eyes happy, I guess you could say, which kind of takes me a long time sometimes. But anyway, I put like 4 little sprigs of like pine needle, and then I got some of this other stuff, and guys, every bit of this was in my stash. This was either ripped off an old wreath from my friend Shelly. Thank you, Shelly. It was from, as you can see, a lot of those tags over there are Dollar Tree tags, and Moose is going to join us and knock over. He also burned his butt on the candle I had burning, so I had to move the candle. I started smelling hair burning, and I thought, what's that? Oh, Moose had his tail in the candle. Anywho, so that was our excitement for the night. And then he sat there looking around like, what's happening? What's happening? Yeah, your butt's on fire, dude. Your butt's on fire. Anywho, back to our wreath here. Moose was just all up in the business this time. Worse than usual, I think, if you can imagine that. So I really like this stuff. This was Dollar Tree stuff. This stuff was really cool. So it's like this little piney cedar looking stuff, but it's got like some flocking snow on it. And I put a lot of this in. So I started with my green stuff. And now I'm kind of getting into the snowy, fluffy kind of stuff now on top of that. Kind of just sliding everything into the grapevine wreath. I'm not using any hot glue at all. Everything is sliding in really good. Nobody's falling out yet. And if it does, I'll just give it a little hot glue. It'll be ready to go. I am going to put this on my front door, or I'm going to put it on my door up at school. I'll have to see. I don't know which one I want yet. I might put it on my front door up at school because, I only have 2 friends that come and visit me, Randy and Shelly, and my daughter, and we all know we're flakes anyway, so it's okay. Anyway, and I really like this stuff too. This was from Dollar Tree. This is like sticks, and it's got like the snowflake plastic stuff on it, like the faux snow stuff. I really like this stuff too. So I put a lot of this in. And then it ended up I put so much of this stuff in, I had to go back and get some more pine needle sprigs out of my stash over there. But I didn't want to fill it up too full. You'll notice I'm leaving it kind of empty up there at the top. That's because, as you probably saw me earlier, I hauled out some ribbon. We gonna put some bow up there. So see here, I got some more pine needle kind of picks to separate some of the white, fluffy, snowy stuff. And here comes Moose again to help us out. And yep. Okay, so we're getting all that stuffed in, and I kept debating, do I want to put this? Do I want to put that? And I thought, no, I'm not one that likes a whole lot. I mean, it's wintertime. There's not a whole lot of leaves and stuff out there anyway, unless you're here in Texas and it's still 70 degrees out. Anyway, we got a cold front coming through tonight, though. Woohoo! Okay, what I'm going to do now is this is going to be part of our bow that's going to go at the top, but I'm kind of going to make like a swag. So I got these little sticky things that were from the Dollar Tree, and then I've got those other little pieces of picks that have little white little balls on them of some kind of sort, and I'm going to put this all together, and I'm going to take some jute twine, and I'm going to tie it up, and that's kind of going to give us a little swag to get us started. And yes, I know that this is going to be like, you're going to be like, Sabrina, this is like way too long. What are you doing? Yeah, I figured that out later. Don't worry about it. I always go big or go home. We could always cut it. You know, you can always take away, but you can't ever add. So anyway, so I think I got that snowflake ribbon at Dollar General. That came from Walmart. The white one came from Dollar Tree. That came from Hobby Lobby, and I wish I would have got more of that. I love that stuff. Then I had these on my stash. I think the celebrated stuff comes from Michael's. This doesn't even have a tag on it, and old as the hills, and I have no idea. It was probably my mom's. So, Mom, where'd you get that? Probably Hobby Lobby or Crafts, etc. Maybe that's where it was from. Anybody remember our Crafts, etc.'s? Those were great. I like those places too. That was before the Hobby Lobbies. Okay, so I'm going to take this lovely mesh here, and I'm going to put it underneath, and I'm just going to cut me 2 strings. And yeah, this thing's getting big. You're like, what are you doing? You're going to make the bow as big as the door. I know. I can't help myself. Remember, you can always cut and take away, but you can't add. So this is going to be our little swag, our little spray that's going to go up at the top. So, and I'm just going to tie that together with my jute twine. I made sure it was long enough. I could just, as I added things, I could keep tying things on. And then we'll get to our bow here in a second. And I am a horrible bow maker. I have watched Kathy Jo. I've watched Brenda. I've watched Krista. I've watched everybody. And I still, for the life of me, think, I got it. And then I get my craft room and go and do it. And I can't do it. I have such the struggle bus. So I'm just going to flip. For every 2 flips, you have a loop. 2 flips, you got a loop. And you just want to make sure you got the same amount of loops on each side. And you know how we always talk about sometimes we don't get it even? Y'all, for my daughter fiance's Christmas present the other day, I had to wrap her presents for her. I even had to wrap my own present. Go figure. I put a bow on it, and I had 5 loops on one side and 4 on the other. Yep, sure did. Okay, anyway, so I'm just taking all this, and I'm going to take some wire to kind of just twist and loop this together rather than the twine, because this will allow me to spread the loops out. I made 2 loops on each side of every ribbon that I had, and I wish I would have done 3 or 4 and not just 2. I think I did 2 one other time, and I'm like, why did I just do 2? I need 3. I need odd numbers. I'll get it down one day. I mean, I'm odd. You think I do odd numbers. Anyway, I hope you guys are enjoying me being back. I am loving being back. I am so sorry for things getting cut short at the end, and I don't know how it's going to turn out because I'm running out of storage on my phone, and I couldn't even edit and CapCut, much less upload stuff, and it's been a nightmare disaster. But I'm hoping to improve my channel for you guys. Like my little intro and my little outro. Not that I know if it'll work, and I hope to get some music set to it. So I hope you guys are still liking and you're enjoying these shenanigans. I am so looking forward to being here with y'all in 2025. Ooh, let's jump aboard this Hot Mess Express and go. Okay, guys. So anyway, back to this, because I seem to be just taking forever to do this. Now we're going to tie this bow on. And at first I just kind of tied around the loop that's at the top. And then realized that doesn't work out too good. And I kind of just give it some hot glue and I glue it down. But it's not going anywhere. That's for sure. Because remember, that was all wire. And then I realized, wait, that's up way too high. I've got to yank this sucker down. And then I start to realize, whoa, yeah, this is like 5 miles longer and wider than the wreath is. But you know what? That's okay. And this is also where I start to realize, gosh, I wish I would have made 3 loops and not 2. And, oh, yeah. Hot Mess Express. Jump aboard, people. Jump aboard. Okay, anyway, finishing up that bow to cover up that wire there with some of that rick-rack, burlappy kind of, would have been cute on little gingerbread man ribbon. And covering that wire up there in the middle as I floof things out for 30 minutes. But I do cut some of that out. Here again, wishing I would have put 3 loops instead of just 2. But you know what? It's okay. It's all good in the hood. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and share out with your peoples. Let's make this channel grow. So anyway, yes, I'm still fluffing. Whoop, we're ready. And there it is. And it's so cute. It did come. As you can tell by the voiceover, not good with compilation videos. Here's DIY 2. Okay, guys, we're going to start with some little wood ornaments I got from Dollar Tree last year. It had those little plaid snowflakes on one side. I took another one I had. I popped off all the greenery berries that were at the top, and I popped off the snowflake and painted it white on one side. You can see all these little goodies I've had that I've collected over time. Pretty much all of this is from Dollar Tree except for the pumpkin paint and some of the material. So you could saw I had some eyeballs. I popped off a little piece of wooden leaf off a flower stem. I got the little hats that were at the fall. I got some buffalo check fabric. I've taken the buffalo check fabric and just ripped a strip and put it around kind of like a scarf. I'm sure you have seen this on Pinterest 500 million times, but I couldn't resist. I had to do it. Gluing on his little wiggly eyes there, and I painted that little piece of leaf that I popped off the flower orange with my pumpkin Waverly paint. And then I was going to put 2 buttons on, but then I was like, no, I think 1 button will do. Kind of looks like his mouth, like he's going, ooh, I should have left it that way. But I decided to draw a wonky mouth. And so here is my wonky mouth. I'm just using my Jot permanent marker from the Dollar Tree. Those little sticks are a package of sticks from the Dollar Tree. I just cut one in half. Those are his little arms. And there we go. I'm going to take this white gel pen from the Dollar Tree. And that tag, I believe, was a package from Michael's, I think. And they were on clearance. That was in my stash. I cut the strip off, the jute twine off of it, and I kind of marked with a pencil where I was going to glue it so I wouldn't write in that area. And with my white gel pen from the Dollar Tree, I am writing, I'm having a meltdown. And I just trace over that a couple times so it really brightens it up. I'm putting the glue where I made my trace mark, gluing it to the bottom of my snowman, and he's having a meltdown.
Sorry you didn't get a good view of that one. And here's DIY number 3.
What? Number 3. So I got this little scarecrow from the Dollar Tree back in the fall. Moose is going to help us out right here. It was so cute. Now this has one of the good strings on it that had the plastic ends on it like shoelaces. So I'm going to keep that and we're going to put that back on. And I'm going to keep that ribbon too. That's a cute ribbon. Ooh, make the moose look all handsome. Look, it's so handsome he's knocking over the camera. Okay, now we want to get that strip off right there. So I'm going to use my heat gun and my little Cricut spatula here. Got that off and got the hair off. I'm just going to cover that side with brown paper, but I'm not going to put you through all that. And I'm going to use the back side is going to be the front. Just kind of sanding it down and watch how I wipe everything up. Let me check this off, and yep, I shook that straight onto the floor. Yes, I did. Okay, now I'm going to wipe this off here just a little bit. Make sure all that dust is gone. Got to make sure that's dry. We're going to take our Snow White and Waverly and going to cut that bottom part, or paint, not cut, paint the bottom part. And then our little strip here, I'm kind of seeing where it goes for his hat, because obviously this is no longer going to be a scarecrow. It's going to be a snowman. And we're going to use our Waverly and ink to do the top part and that. So just like this, alakazam, kapoof, and there we go. We got it done. Oh, look, I'm getting good at that, guys. Ha-ha, bringing you some more entertainment to the channel. Okay, now we're going to take that's nice and dry, and I'm going to put that cattywampus because I like things cattywampus. So that's going to go on there, cattywampus, and there goes a cattywampus. And I'm just going to hot glue that on there, just like that. At an angle, all cattywampus. Yep. Here's where I'm starting to lose storage, so things are just going to quickly happen. Like right there we did. And I drew a little snowman face on. I've got some paint markers. I've got some pumpkin Waverly paint. I've got some pink, camo pink by Apple Barrel. And yep. So right now I'm doing the whites of his eyes, and then all of a sudden I'm going to be doing some black, and then I wanted to paint his nose because the orange paint marker I have doesn't work very good. I did get a little water on it because that paint's really thick. It's getting pretty old. It did take about 3 coats. Now I'm just going to jump and boom, the blue's done. Now I'm going to jump, boom, and the black's done. And then boom, now everything's done because I was losing video storage and I didn't figure y'all wanted to see me do all that anyway. But anyway, see, you got some berries, some more sprigs. I got a little pine cone. I got some of that foam scatter stuff from the Dollar Tree. This is all stash stuff, guys. Every bit of it. That little piece of ribbon was off a pick from like Walmart. We're going to just make a little poof, poof, poof swaggy here on the side of his little hat. And you're going to get to miss most of that because I'm going to run out of storage. And so you won't get to see it all. And I had to go deleting photos and moving. And there we go. See? And now he's done. Presto. I put a scarf that I bought at Dollar Tree a long time ago. Cut it down. Glued it around his neck. He's got his little swag on his hat. And I put the little string back on. And I said, brr, with some little Scrabble letters that I had in my stash. And there he is. Isn't he cute? Okay, guys, we're going to start with some little wood ornaments I got from Dollar Tree last year. It had those little plaid snowflakes on one side. I took another one I had. I popped off all the greenery berries that were at the top, and I popped off the snowflake and painted it white on one side. You can see all these little goodies I've had that I've collected over time. Pretty much all of this is from Dollar Tree except for the pumpkin paint and some of the material. So you could saw I had some eyeballs. I popped off a little piece of wooden leaf off a flower stem. I got the little hats that were at the fall. I got some buffalo check fabric. I've taken the buffalo check fabric and just ripped a strip and put it around kind of like a scarf. I'm sure you have seen this on Pinterest 500 million times, but I couldn't resist. I had to do it. Gluing on his little wiggly eyes there, and I painted that little piece of leaf that I popped off the flower orange with my pumpkin Waverly paint. And then I was going to put 2 buttons on, but then I was like, no, I think 1 button will do. Kind of looks like his mouth, like he's going, ooh, I should have left it that way. But I decided to draw a wonky mouth. And so here is my wonky mouth. I'm just using my Jot permanent marker from the Dollar Tree. Those little sticks are a package of sticks from the Dollar Tree. I just cut one in half. Those are his little arms. And there we go. I'm going to take this white gel pen from the Dollar Tree, and that tag, I believe, was a package from Michael's, I think. And they were on clearance. That was in my stash. I cut the strip off of the jute twine off of it, and I kind of marked with a pencil where I was going to glue it so I wouldn't write in that area. And with my white gel pen from the Dollar Tree, I am writing, I'm having a meltdown. And I just trace over that a couple times so it really brightens it up. I'm putting the glue where I made my trace mark, gluing it to the bottom of my snowman, and he's having a meltdown. Woohoo! Here we go. Here's something fun to do with the kids. All of these would be fun to do with any of the kids, really. I've got 2 plastic spoons from the Dollar Tree. They came in a pack. I've got some red and white fabric and some buffalo check fabric. I'm first just kind of folding over one end to kind of make a hem because I ain't sewing nothing. I am gluing these to the top of the spoon, but you will see I decide to rip that off later because I'm changing my mind. So while I'm thinking, I'll go ahead and glue wiggly eyes on. So we're going to give this guy green wiggly eyes to match his red hat, and then we're going to give this one blue eyes because I have blue eyes and I just thought that was cute. We're going to take this orange paint pen that's pretty crappy that I got from Temu because it spreads and it made the noses kind of funky. But hey, it is what it is, right? Yep. Now I'm going to tie a little strip of fabric around the base of the spoon part there on the handle to give them a little scarf that matches their hat that I am creating. There we go. Now I am going to take just a Sharpie fine point marker and make a wonky little mouth again because I like wonky mouths. Wonky mouth, wonky mouth. And then I'm going to put some buttons with my Sharpie down at the bottom. You very well could add some more buttons. You could add some stickers, those little dots like a Dollar Tree. You could put anything for buttons. Anything goes. You notice I got some bells because I was thinking bells, but then I was like, nope, I'm going to do something else with the little jingle bells, which I got from Dollar Tree in a package. That was in my stash. I've got those little cotton balls that are snowballs that you get. You can see right now I'm gluing the snowball to the back of the spoon and then gluing the hat on. When I flip it around, I realize I do not like the way it looks. You'll see that here in just a second. Here we go. Here we go. And it looks so flat on the front. I'm like, no, this is wonky. This isn't working. So guess what? We're going to rip it all off. This is to show you us crafters, especially this one right here at Sabrina's Craft-nanigans, is not by any means perfect. Oh, but no. So I've decided I'm going to glue the ball right to the top of the spoon and kind of squish it on both sides instead of just in the back. I'm going to put my fabric back on. And then once it's glued to the front on that hem, I'm then just going to bring one side around, then glue the other side around. And I'm going to take a look at it and, oop, that works out so much better. I'm going to take the top of all the material. I'm going to take a piece of jute twine there. I'm going to tie it and double knot it. And once I have double knotted, I'm going to take my... I forgot what kind of scissors they are. I just talked about it in day 5, and now I don't remember. Oh, my land. Those funky ones that do the zigzag so your fabric doesn't fray. Pinking scissors. Pinking scissors. I think that's what they are. Okay, and then so I cut the top of his hat off and flew out and cut the twine. So then I ripped this guy's hat off, and I'm going to glue the cotton ball right there on top. And then I'm going to glue his hat back on at the front, and I'm going to flip him over. And all his face and stuff, guys, is glued to the dipped in part of the spoon where like your soup would be or your cereal would be. It's not on the bottom of the spoon. Anyway, I just figured, you know, I had to tell you that while I'm waiting to get this hat on, since I decided to leave this all in for you because this video was short anyway. Well, it is for right now. I may add some more later. Who knows? And I'm going to do the same thing with him. I floof his hat out. His hat actually came out a little bit fatter. And I'm just going to tie the twine around it again. I'm going to double knot it. It looks like he has this huge head. This one turned out kind of funny. I like the red one better. Take my pinching shears again, and I'm going to cut it. And there we go. Now I'm thinking, oh, I've decided to take the one with the green eyes and make her a girl. So I put eyelashes on her. I give just the dude some eyebrows. And now I'm going to take my pink Posca marker, which work a lot better. And I'm going to give her some little pink cheeks because she's a lady. Yes, she's a lady. So I got the lady is a smaller spoon and the dude is the taller spoon. Now, see how her hat looks a lot better? Anyway, I'm going to take these little jingle bells I had in my stash from the Dollar Tree. And I'm going to put that Fix-It-All super glue from the Dollar Tree on one side and then some hot glue on the other side. Kind of like at the bell, but I kind of glue it more to the base of the ribbon so that it helps hold it up so the ribbon or fabric doesn't slide down the handle. And then I also managed to be able to string the jute twine through the bell. I could not believe it. I actually look how boom, 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 those go on. Yes, ma'am, and yes, sirs, absolutely. I double knotted those. So now we can shake our spoons. Shake a jingle, jingle, shake a jingle, jingle. Shake a spoon, shake a snowman. Okay, this one, guys, is that big old thick snowflake was from Hobby Lobby a couple years ago after the season. This sign was from Dollar General, and I'm just going to use the head. There is not much to this project at all. I just had this laying in a box and saw the two pieces together and thought, I got to do that. This snowflake has some scratches on it, so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to paint it in my Waverly Plaster chalk paint, and because it'll match his head a little bit better because his head wasn't perfectly white. So that made the snowflake match his head better. I wiped the little head off a little bit, and I'm taking my puff paint. I'm taking everybody's advice, and I remembered to bust out the puff paint that was hiding in my closet. I think I got the big old package of puff paint of a lot of different colors at Walmart for a pretty good price. So I'm going to make it like he's got snow. It ends up being a darn avalanche because I saw something cool where somebody put the paint, and then you sit there and you tap it a little bit on a hard surface. See how I tapped it a little bit and then it helps it to run down? Well, we ran down a little too much. Look at that. It looks like he done been in a blizzard. So I start wiping the nose off because I had too much. Now I'm starting to be like, oh my God. And so here, let me add some more to his scarf because that's going to make it so much better. And then I start to realize, oh my God, the bottom of his hat. So then I wipe it and then I smear it all the way across at the bottom. Well, I didn't like that. So here I am trying to fix it and touch it up. And I'm like, where'd his hat go? Now there's too much on his nose. Oh my goodness, now I've covered up his smile. Well, let me just wipe that off and try again because I don't want to cover up his smile. So I've almost gone through this whole bottle of puff paint, guys. It was just a little one, but it's pretty much gone, let me tell you. Redo his nose, and that's still streaky and stripy, and I'm not happy with it. And then there it goes. I couldn't stand the hat anymore. That was just way too much. I left it kind of up there at the top, but I wiped that brim of that hat off, and we are trying again. So this was that I'm having a meltdown. I need a snowman that says I'm a hot mess because it's happening today, people. I left the top alone. I didn't mess with the top. Still kind of looks like he's in a blizzard. I figured, you know what's going to fix this? Glitter. Glitter fixes everything, right? I hate glitter, but we're going to use it in this situation. And besides, it's Christmas, and it's supposed to be snow. What I'm doing here is picking out big globs of glitter where apparently when I did my ornaments on day one, some polyacrylic with some chunks of glitter got back into the bottle somehow, but that's okay. All right, so I'm gently shaking this to get some of the glitter off, but I don't want to shake it too hard because the puff paint is still wet. So we'll wait till tomorrow, or it'll already be tomorrow by the time you see this. So I shook it off earlier. Anyway, and we're going to take it, and I'm just going to make sure that my snowman, the snowflake, can sit up because that's what it's meant to do. That's why it's so thick. I'm using some wood glue and some hot glue. Wood glue is for your permanent hold. Hot glue for your temporary hold. I'm gluing his head just to the top of the snowflake there. Going to press it down in the hot glue spots to make sure that that temporary hold sticks. I'm trying to not stick my finger in the puff paint, but you know how that goes. So after you've watched me do that for 20 minutes, I decided I'm just going to angle the ribbons on his scarf. And that is how he is. There he is. I'm kind of cleaning up some of the glue that oozed out, but he should be ready to go and we can shake some more glitter off tomorrow. There's our shaker spoons and our having a meltdown. All right, now it's the second project. This is a little bit lengthy, so some of these go pretty fast. So here's my clipboard because we needed to use a clipboard. And so I got that clip off of there, just using that red pry bar thing. Didn't need anything else. Now I want to even that up. I want to get that off of there, of course. So I'm going to use my metal ruler and my box cutter, and I'm just going to keep giving this some slices until I can finally wiggle it, and it'll snap and break right off, kind of like the Dollar Tree stuff. There'll be a little bit of edge left right there, so I'll just take it, and I'll just continue to use my box cutter and cut that off some more. And even though I use a ruler, I somehow still can't get things straight. But you know what? That's just how I am. I'm crooked. Crooked as a dog's hind leg, as Kathy Jo would say. Anywho, I'm going to take my sanding block there, and I'm going to sand that edge. I'm going to wipe her off. In a little bit here, I'm going to take that tag off the back. I'm also going to take my little zip sander, and I'm going to zip zap. I'm going to sand. Oh, my goodness, y'all, I'm tired. Okay. I'm going to, before I put that Waverly white on there, I'm going to take my zip sander, and I sanded the front, sanded the back, sanded the sides around the edges, and made sure the corners were rounded off pretty good. Okay, and now I'll take my white Waverly. I gave her one coat, and now what I want to do is I want to take the Snow White Waverly and some baking soda, and I want to give this a little texture because I want this to look like snow. So see how it's pretty thick right there? So I'm going to take this, and now I'm just going to kind of not necessarily brush it and paint it on the board, but kind of like just kind of slap it on there. See, I'm just kind of blah, 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 all over it. See? And I'm just kind of, I want it textured. I want it mushy. If you guys had salt wash, this would probably work a lot better. Whatever you do, don't use sand. Yeah, ask me how I know that. Oh, I won't tell you. I had to start this whole thing over. Yeah, anyway. Okay, here's these pumpkins from the Dollar Tree at Halloween. This is a 24-foot stack for $5. I'm just using the top one and the middle one. I'm not using the bottom one. I know they make snowmen stackables that are at the Dollar Tree, but I'm crafting my stash, people. I'm using my goods. So I'm using my Tite Bond Quick and Thick and a little bit of hot glue to make sure that the top stays connected to the bottom there. He's going to be a little snowman. I'm crafting my stash. He's a pumpkin snowman. It's all good. It's okay. He's going to be happy. Okay? So I make sure I wipe that off. And I must have sat there and held that together for like 10 minutes to make sure it was going to hold. I'm taking my zip sander and I'm just kind of roughing it up because that's some smooth plastic. And I wanted to make sure that it was roughed up so that the paint was going to stick. Now, I'm fussing here because, anyway. So we're going to take that paint and the baking soda, and we're going to give her about 2-3 coats, I do believe. What happened is that I added sand from the Dollar Tree because I wanted more texture than just the baking soda, and that was too much texture. So I literally took these pumpkins to the bathroom, washed everything off, cleaned them up, and started over from scratch. And the baking soda will have to do. Yeah, okay. So that was 2 coats, and this right here, I'm giving her the 3rd coat right here. Not worried about the stem because we're going to put a she. Well, actually, it's not a she, it's a he. But I color it anyway. Gonna have a little toboggan, a little cap on. See, that's where I was fussing at myself. Why are you even painting that? You're going to cover it up. So here's another Poopa Scoopa. Poopa Scoopa number 2. I get a little bit more creative with this one. Getting the tag off. I got a little bucket here from my friend Shelly. Thank you, Shelly. And of course, it's the red and black buffalo check. Yes. And I got those little booty ornaments from the Dollar Tree. Yes. We're going to take those tags off. And I'm going to pull off the greenery. And I thought I was going to have a hard time. But boop, that just popped right off. That was easy. Those are going to be his little skatey booties later. I'm going to also, instead of the skate part being brown, I will paint those white. So he needs his little booties. We've got our bucket. we're going to have a little toboggan here. I'm going to cut the tag off of that. That's all from Dollar Tree. This was all in my stash, guys. Every bit of it. Or it came from my friend Shelly. Or it came from my friend Randy. I love my heifers. I love my heifers. Okay, anyway, so there's our goods. Now, he is going to be playing with a bucket of ornaments. So I have a ton of plastic clear ornaments. Thanks to myself and my friend Shelly. I'm taking that shredded paper stuff that is also in my stash from previous gift bags and baskets and everything. And I'm stuffing them, some of them with white. And I was just using a pen to stuff that in. And then I stuffed some of them with red. Actually, some of them already came with red, thanks to my friend Shelly. I have these left over from a project I did at Halloween, if you saw my witch and her latte cauldron. Okay, so my ornaments are done. I took my pooper scooper and I took my pliers there and I cut the sides off of those. Because what I need is, this is going to help hold my bucket up so that it looks like magic. And that's going to hold the bucket up like he's dumping out all his ornaments. Bloop, just like that. There. Now you see how that clipboard, that paint, it's dry. It's dried for 2 days. It looks brown, but I am going to paint it white so that it looks better later and not dirty and grungy. Yeah, the brown from the clipboard soaked all the way back up through it. Okay, we got to glue the handle inside the bucket, but as you could see, the handle was kind of hollow. So I've got this little piece of wood that came out of all my scraps and stuff, and I'm filling that handle with a ton of hot glue just to fill it up. I guess I could have used clay, I could have used whatever, but I was in a hurry and I knew the glue would dry faster. So I just filled that up to the top with hot glue, taking my Tight Bond multi-purpose quick and thick bond tight glue stuffs, and I'm going to just edge that, and then I'm going to put it on the end of my handle. This will give me more of a surface to put glue on. See, they're all flat. Now, we want to get this in the bucket. I'm going to use my Fix-All and a little tiny bit of hot glue because we know the hot glue won't stick to metal very good. Before I do that, I'm going to flatten my bucket just a little bit so that, again, I'm getting a flat surface to work with. I got to have that flat surface. Boy, y'all, I'm getting tired. This is the second time I've done this. Blech. My jaws are hurting. I got the jibby jaws. Anyway, so I'm making my bucket flat, and then I've got my handle flat. So now hopefully I've got a good enough flat surface that this is all going to hold together. And so far, it's been 2 days, and it's held up. So, woohoo! Okay, so there's my Fix-All from the Dollar Tree. That's some good stuff, guys. You got to get some of that stuff. And I'm just going to just a little bit of hot glue there. Nothing too much, because I know it don't work that good. I just need something to hold it so I can get started, because I have no patience. So we're going to let that set up for a second. While that is setting up, I'm going to take my pumpkin here, and I'm going to figure out what I want to be the front, okay? What's the best looking part, okay? And then we're going to have to bake him some arms, and I'm going to have to get him a face on, okay? So the arms, I have these little picks here. There's a wire inside of it, and they're covered with like that brown paper stuff. I'm sure there's a technical term for that. It's kind of flower pick thing. Those were too thin. I needed wire. That's the thickest I had, but they still weren't thick enough because these are going to be his arms. So I'm taking some aluminum foil, and I'm going to wrap it up, and I wrap both his arms up twice with a chunk of aluminum foil. So he's got some big muscles. But see, it's still bendable. Yay, hooray. Now I got to make it look like a stick. So thanks to my friend Randy. Thank you, Randy. I've got this material here that looks kind of tree barkish, right? You agree? It's all I had that was brown. I thought it worked. So this chunk right here is enough to cover both of them. So I'm just going to fold it in half. I'm going to cut it right up the middle right there. Do, 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 do. Boom. All right. Now, I'm going to use this. I'm going to use my Aleene's glue to get it started because I was sure that the hot glue probably would not let the material stick to the metal. So I'm starting with the Aleene's. And then once I get it rolled, I'm going to sit here and roll it up like a burrito. Once I start rolling it, I'll get my hot glue. Because I know the hot glue will stick the material to the material. I just wasn't sure about the material sticking to the aluminum foil. So I probably have no idea what I'm talking about. And y'all are like, can you just whatever? Anyway. Okay, so here we go. Now we know we're about to roll around. So I'm getting some hot glue on there. And I want to start to roll it around. We're making the burrito, a stick burrito. Look at there. Okay. Yep. All right. So I've got one totally finished, but let me show you how I finished it. So I just kept adding a little hot glue. I'd roll it, hot glue, roll it, hot glue, roll it. So I'm at the end of this one. There's a little bit of material left. I'm putting my hot glue down. And then I'm using my mat there, and I'm pushing down, and I am rolling. Pushing and rolling and burning my hands off. Push, roll, and burn the hands. Push, roll, and burn the hands. Yep, that's what we do. That's how we roll. Now I'm taking it and twisting it, just kind of like I did with the aluminum foil. Kind of trying to get off a lot of that glue fuzzies and stuff. And I'm still twisting, still rolling, making sure it's sticking really good. And look, still bendable. So now we've got some stick arms. Look at that. Look at that. I was pretty proud of them. Now, I know those are awfully long. Don't panic. We're going to cut them. Better long than too short, right? Right. Okay, so I got this buffalo red and black material from the Dollar Trees. And I'm just kind of making me a pattern for a little mitten here. He's got to have mittens on the end of his arms, right? Yeah. And they got to match his booties. Yeah. So I'm making a mitten right now. And it looks pretty good. I'm pretty proud of this mitten that I drew. And it's a shame it doesn't turn out that way once I get it all done and glued together. But, you know, okay. So this is going to go kind of really fast. So I know I need 4 of them. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to iron it, make sure my material's flat. And I flipped it so that I know I can get 2 out of that piece. Then I'll cut another piece because that'll be his other hand. I'll fold it, iron it to make it flat. We'll cut the mitten out. And so there's one hand, right? Front and back. And then I'll iron this one. Now I'm going to trace that one onto here so that they are supposed to be the same size, even though they don't end up that way, but that's okay. And so here's mitten number 2. Boop-a-doop. See? And I made sure my thumbs were right. Aren't you proud of me, Joanna? My thumbs are right. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to keep them folded inside out. Okay, got my mat back here. And I'm just using my hot glue to glue the edges. But I'm not going to glue the bottom because I got to turn them outside in, right side in, you know, back the right way. So after I get them glued together, I'm going to flip them back the correct way. And I'm going to stuff them with some polyfill. There's my bag of polyfill, which is actually just some stuffing out of an old pillow. And here's where I start pulling this out. And I'm like, this is the most janky mitten I think I've ever seen in my whole entire life. He's got pointy thumbs, and I can't stuff enough in that thumb to make it get round. And so he looks like he got Dracula fingers. And oh my God, y'all, seriously. Oh boy. Anyway, so far, we're going to get his little arm in there now. Because I left that bottom open. I got it stuffed. We're going to stick his arm in. I'm making sure everything's working here. I'm just going to put a bunch of hot glue down in there just like that. I'm going to take his arm, stick it, shove it down in there, and then I'm going to flip some of that material that I had folded back so that it wouldn't get stuck down in there. And then I'm going to take it, I'm going to squeeze it. There we go. Okay, so hand is attached to arm. Now we'll do the same thing with the other one. Now, I wanted his little mittens. Yay! This made me think I like Kermit the Frog when he always throws his arms up in the air. Yay! Anywho, I wanted his mittens to match his booties with that fur. The boots with the fur. So I had me a pair of white ones as well that I found. I'm just going to rip the fur off those white ones and put it on his mittens so that his mittens match his booties. Yeah, buddy. Now, what I'm going to do when I want to go use those white booties, I don't know, but I'll figure something out. Yep, I was just too lazy to go to my closet. Anywho, so I cut those down a little bit, and I'm just hot gluing just the little bottom fluffy part of his mitten there to his hand, and we'll roll it around, and now I'll get the other part. And then, of course, I'll do the same thing with his other arm over there. And then I believe once we get that on there, now see, now his mittens look like his booties. Look at that pointy thumb. Look at that. Oh my gosh, y'all. Okay, now I know these arms are too long. Look at that. It's like, it's the abominable snowman. So I've got them kind of wrapped around the back of his neck. Because at first I was thinking, okay, attached to the back of the neck. So what I'm doing with the Sharpie is that's where I'm going to cut them off. Because obviously I don't need them that long. So I marked both of them so that they're the same length, kind of, sort of. I was going to use my scissors and just cut because I'm thinking of going through the fabric, and I got my pliers over there to cut through the wire. And then next thing I know, boop, the scissors did the whole thing. I was like, whoa, that's pretty cool. Now, you see that I took my Sharpie and I put black dots on the sides. Aha, I want those arms to stick down in his body, not wrapped around his neck. That looks better because I knew something didn't look right when I was wrapping those around his neck. So I'm going to take my little wood burning tool here in a second that I got from Dollar General for like $10, $15, y'all. That thing works good. Okay, So while I'm waiting for that to heat up, I'm just quickly drawing on a face and I'm painting it on. If y'all want me to, you can slow this down, but if you want to see some other videos where I paint faces and draw the faces, because this is I'm trying to work on this right now. You can go watch some of my other videos that I've recently done, but there we go. I promise I did do that, okay? This video is already long and everybody else, you want to see everybody else, not me. Okay, so I painted all that on with a Sharpie and all that good stuff. Now, I took my wood burning tool. I burned a hole in the side of the pumpkin, making sure that the arm fits, but fits snugly. I kept checking it every once in a while just to make sure it wasn't too big, because that would defeat the purpose. I'm going to just coat this thing with a whole bunch of hot glue that ends up oozing out the bottom, out the sides, out the top, out his nose, out everywhere. See, watch it. Blech. Okay. But hey, we know it ain't going anywhere. And I did make sure that his arm was turned the right way so that his thumbs were up. You should be proud, Joanna. I made sure his thumbs were the right way. You're so proud of me. Okay, so I'm wiping some of that hot glue off. I also later, once everything is said and done, I take some white Waverly chalk paint and I do some touch-ups where you can see some of that paint had chipped and everything like that. Getting the hole in there. I take my hot glue. I kind of go around all the way around the edge. And then you don't see this, but I also later go inside the pumpkin because he's hollow in the bottom. He doesn't have a bottom. And I go inside the pumpkin and put the glue on the inside as well. So there's both of his arms. Now, which look much better than around his neck. I added some more details to his face there with some paint markers. I did paint his nose in pumpkin Waverly chalk paint because just the orange paint marker I had wasn't working very good. Anyway, I glued his little booties on. And now I'm going to try to get this bucket attached to his hands. I'm using hot glue, the fix-all glue, and then you can see I took some jute twine and I tied those suckers because, like I said, I have no patience. I needed to get this done. So those are kind of holding his hands onto the bucket so I could keep working. So then I glued the rest of the pooper scooper to the clipboard down there at the bottom, which I will paint later with some white to make it look pretty. And he has his ornaments falling out of his bucket. They're going everywhere. I got the red ones and the white ones and little ones and iridescent ones. And then later I even go in with some of that foam ball scatter stuff that you can get at Dollar Tree that are silver and white and that are all different sizes. And I glued some of that in there too. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Now, of course, he needs a scarf. I got his hat on. You can see I took one of those florals that I pulled off the skates and I glued it on the top of his hat. And then that scarf, that is just flannel ribbon that I got at Hobby Lobby one year after Christmas. And it is like literally flannel. It's amazing. I decorate my tree with it too. Anywho's, and then, okay, I cut the jute off his mittens and that was a hot mess. So I took some more of that floral off the skates and I glued that on top of his mittens. If you're asking why in the world is he holding pine needles? Well, there you go. Okay, so took a little bit of that and I got that down on as his ornaments are dumping out, taking my heat gun just to get some of that straggly glue strings off. And oh my goodness, we're almost done. There he is. He's so cute. Now I know I probably put too many ornaments and it looks like I just stacked a bunch of ornaments up and I didn't really make it look magical like they're falling out of his bucket, but I was having too much fun having all these fall out of his bucket. Look, probably 2 of those balls would have fit in the bucket and that's it. But look at all that. That's magic. All those balls falling out of his bucket. He did this snowman playing with his ornaments. Isn't he cute? Look, I painted the skates white on the ends of his skates. And look at this. This is exactly what's happening right now. Yep, having a meltdown. Guys, if you have liked what you've seen and you had yourself a good laugh, make sure... DIY number 2 is still in the woods. I'm going to take this little Dollar Tree bird thing. Yeah, bird house. That's what we're calling it. I'm taking my lacquer by Waverly and some Barn Red because I wanted to just use Barn Red, but it was really watery. You know, words don't come easy here. And I mixed those two together a little bit to give it a little bit darker of a color, but the chalk paint to help it stick because the other was so watery. I've got an old pine cone here from the woods. Just taking a pair of pliers and I'm pulling all the pieces off. And there we go. Looked like a squirrel got on that. Maybe it was a moose. You never know. Okay, what we're going to do, you've probably seen this on Pinterest or something. or other crafters do it, and I just thought it was really cool. So we're gonna take those pine, I don't know, the pieces of the pine cone, and we're going to glue them on. I'm just gonna use my Type Bond. I didn't really want to use hot glue because I mean, I don't know, I'd burn myself 100 times. So, and I'm gonna make sure this first row here, you're gonna start at the bottom of the roof and work your way up. You also notice with the house, I use that red to color all of it except for the bottom. Anyway, you know, sorry, forgot to mention that part. Not like you can't see it. Anyway, I should be one of those ones that just shuts up and just play the music and let y'all just watch. Because, I mean, I pretty much leave way too much in anyway. And I don't talk about what I'm doing at the time, so I can't help y'all out anyway. And you know I don't know what I'm doing. I can't even talk. So y'all might just, like, I might turn on some tunes and anyway, so we're putting our little pine cone things on here, and you noticed I rubbed my Type Bond around. We're putting our little second coat on here, and yeah, might have had too much Type Bond, but you know what? You can never have too much glue. Okay, and then I fit another row on top, and I just kind of pieced it together, kind of like a puzzle, which one fits the best. If it overhung on the front and the back a little bit, I didn't care. And so there we go. So, and you just keep doing that. I think it ended up with 5 rows on each side. Dee-dee! Let's see, I'm moving it too much. I can't tell. Yeah, I think it was 5, maybe 6. 5 rows, and then I put one on top, some going one way, some going the other way. Okay, so here's our little Dollar Tree crate. This is the one without the holes in the end, but the slits in the front and back. I just got this paper at the Hobby Lobby, and I thought, hey, this is pretty woodland and rustic, because I was raiding their Christmas paper because it was on sale this week. So, yep, like I don't have enough paper, but, you know. Here's my measuring. Yep, I'm just going to take it, and I'm going to make this wrap all the way around the box. And I like how the lines went by going this way. If you were looking at the front, it looks like I'm cutting from up and down, but the lines on it are going side to side. Anyway, you know, cut it. Find the piece you want on your paper, because you could tell there was lots of different patterns on there. And just pick the piece you want to show. Anyway, I'm going to wrap this around. I'm kind of creasing it right here. That's going to kind of help me out. Instead of just cutting 4 separate pieces, this whole thing covers 3 of the 4 sides. So I Mod Podge the paper, and I put a little Mod Podge on the crate. And I'm just smoothing this out, smooth like butter. And then making sure, you know, it's all, I got it where I can still sand some of the edges off. I didn't lose a piece anywhere, and the wood is hanging out, and, you know, all that. You can see it even overhangs just a little bit. So I'm going to get that on there real good, get the extra glue off everywhere, smash it down, press it down, smooth it out. Yep, still smoothing. Yep. Okay. And once it gets pretty good and stuck, it's not moving. And of course, I'll take my little, you know, spatula doodah thing here that I use specifically for Mod Podge things. I'll cut some of this end off, but not all of it. And then we'll measure out one more piece, and I'm going to make sure that it's going the same direction. See how the lines are going sideways on there? But when you flip the paper over, they were actually going up and down. Anyway, don't listen to me. So I'm just needing to cut out one more side. So I just get the little rectangle there, and I always cut on the outside of the line. That way I've got a little extra room to work with, little extra wiggle room there. And I'm going to do the same thing, put some, and what I have in my big condiment bottle here is glossy Mod Podge. So that's why sometimes you see me use this Mod Podge, and then other times, like when I did the ornaments, and later on you'll see me use the matte Mod Podge. I use this glossy because my friend Shelly, thank you Shelly, gave me a gallon of glossy Mod Podge. So I use the glossy to use it as the glue, the sticker. And then I use the matte Mod Podge in my little bottles, but I just bought me a big one at Walmart the other day, to do the outside coat, because I don't like things that shiny. But anyway, so I got this piece on right here. I'm talking so much. Whew, out of breath. Okay, you think as much as I talk to kids and teach, I wouldn't be out of breath. But anyway, I just get excited when I'm here with you guys. Anyway, so I just put that piece on, and I made sure that the other pieces were wrapped around, and this one sat on top. I've let that sit overnight. We're going to sand all this down, top, bottom, edges, and then do the matte Mod Podge. That is a piece of a spindle that came off a chair Randy gave me. Thank you, Randy. And I cut it, and it was painted white, and I sanded a little bit of it down, but not all of it. Now, so this was the next day, and the box was finished, and I sanded it off, and I gave it the coat of matte Mod Podge. And on the back side, I cut the slits out to see if I liked it, and I did. So now I'm showing you what I did. I just got my little you know, razor X-Acto knife thingy there. You can buy them at the Dollar Tree like in a 3-pack. And I'm just cutting those slits out, and then I take my sander and I can kind of turn it sideways because you know how some of that sandpaper kind of hangs off the edges of the zip sander a little bit. And I get in there and get all that out and then wipe it down and make sure it's all smooth and nice. And there we go. Boop, boop, that's it. And so I did that, and then I gave them all another coat of matte Mod Podge since I cut them, and now we've got the bare wood and the paper sticking again. So bam, she's all done, dry, good, ready to go. There's our spindle sanded down, the ends are sanded down, and here comes the antique Waverly wax. Yep, you knew it was coming. I got my stenciling brush there, distressing brush, whatever you want to call it. I'm trying to be careful to not get it on the top or bottom of the spindle because the glue's going to go there. So I'm just going all the way around with that, and look at here, me being careful holding it with a paper towel. Like, really? Since when do I care if my hands get nasty? Just wait till later. I bought me some Snow-Tex the other day. Yeah, buddy, we're going to use it here in a bit. Anyway, so I just distressed that a little bit. I'm going to distress my house a little bit, and I also kind of get inside the bird hole right there so that the back you don't see. It's not real bright white anymore. It's like distressed and it's dark in there. It's a dark and gloomy birdhouse. Anyway, so then I take a wet wipe and then I kind of just mush it all around and pat, pat, patty, pat. I really like doing with the wet wipe, patting instead of just rubbing. It's like when you wipe it, it takes off too much. So I like to pat. Anyway, we're going to take our wood glue here, put a dot, and then use some hot glue for the immediate hold. And I'm going to press that down, and we're going to keep our fingers crossed that that works, because wait for it coming later. I'm just saying. And we're going to do the same thing with our little birdie house on the top. Just a dot of wood glue in the middle. Take my little glue pin so I can make a fine line around the outside, and we're going to stick that. And of course, I'm not going to make it straight. It's got to be turned sideways and wonky. And I'm like, whew, let's hold, baby. Okay. So, of course, I don't let it sit and dry, right? I got to show y'all what's happening. And then I'm going to go ahead and start doing everything else. And, you know, this is the problem. Just wait for it. Okay. So taking my antique wax and a wet wipe, but then I decided, nope, I want it darker than that. So I go and I'm going to grab my brush over there here in just a second. And I'm just going to go ham because it's like, okay, got to get this done. And I also go where the slits are that we cut out. See there? See there? Yep, the top, the bottom. And I also get the top of the inside. Not the entire inside, but just like the top edge of the inside. So in case it shows, which it wouldn't matter because it ends up not showing. But you never know. No, the bottom and stuff isn't going to show. And then I also did the bottom of the birdhouse there. Not worried about the top yet, because I will show you what we're going to do. We're going to take some of this brown moss, and there's my Snow-Tex. Found it at the Hobby Lobby. Woo! I spent way too much money at Hobby Lobby the other day. Woo-bee! And I have this little birdie my friend Shelly gave me. Thank you for the little cardinal. Perfect for Christmas. Okay, we're going to take a little bit of moss. A little bit, yeah. And I'm going to kind of just stretch it out, and I'm going to shove it down in the box there and make sure some goes around the little spindle that's holding our little birdie housey up, okay? And then I'm going to take just a little piece, and I'm going to roll it in a ball here, boop-a-doop-a-doop, and just stretch it out just a little bit. That was a beezy walking around back there. And I'm going to put some hot glue, and I'm trying to show y'all, and this is half my problem right here, okay? And just put some glue on the bottom of the little hole, and then put the moss on there, so it looks like his, you know, his house is kind of falling out of his house, and yeah, anyway. And I kind of just trim everything up a little bit around the sides and edges. I mostly just kind of stuffed everything back in. I didn't trim too much of it off, and I just, you know, yeah, kind of stuffed. Okay, so anyway, here we go. So there's that same, you know, fern looking piece. And then I got these rings. I saw Brenda with Rustic and Lace DIY do this. This is such a great idea, Brenda. I love it. You buy those little round things, and everything is half off at Hobby Lobby right now. And it's a lot cheaper to buy that or like a long piece of garland than it is to buy stalks of that stuff. So anyway, I'm just tucking the pine, and then there, and then here it comes. Yeah, this is why you wait and have a little patience, because, yeah, it wasn't dry, and I kept wiggling it around, and, yeah, the hot glue mixed in with the other. So now we're just going to bust out the Type Bond. Like, I ain't going to waste no time anymore. And I'm just going to stick that thing on, and then, of course, instead of letting it dry, I waited like 5 seconds. We're going to keep working, okay? And I put some berries in there, too, the same berries we were using earlier. There's a Beelzebub. He sees the berries, and he wants to play with my spatula. Okay. So it's still drying, guys. I had to, here I am smearing Snow-Tex all over the top of the roof here, and it's not dry yet. But, hey, it's dry now. It ain't moving now, let me tell you. So, and then I decide, okay, the spatula's okay, but let me just take my finger. And I'm just getting a scoop of it on my finger and then just running it down the sides. So some of the roof has a little bit more than other pieces of it, but it's snow. It's supposed to, right? Now I'm going to go on the bottom. You can tell right here it still wasn't fully dry yet. And I'm trying to hang on to this and do this because you know what? I have no patience. And anyway, so I'm running all the Snow-Tex around the bottom. And then I just, I know this is not how you do this, but I'm like taking my fingers and I'm just rubbing my greenery. See, you see how it moved again just there. And I rub my greenery and put it on the berries. And let me tell you guys, your fingers is the best thing to use for Snow-Tex. You know what? I'm a messy crafter, and it's Hot Mess Express. I'm just saying. We're going to glue our little hot birdie on his little perch that was sticking out right there. And I'm like all slow. And I had pulled a feather off the top of his head and had just glued it back on. And I'm like, was petting the bird. But I should have left that in. That would have gave you all a good laugh. And I'm like, nope, stop. Just walk away from it. Here, I'm just trying to get some of the glue strings off from when I put the bird on. And anything else that might be here. Look, see how, now I'm going to be careful with it now that I'm done. And of course, I just had to show y'all. I mean, look, isn't that adorable? I've seen some ideas for that, like on Pinterest and stuff. And I was so happy. Anyway, you'll see more of that in the final review. Here's DIY number 3. I found this beautiful bag at the Dollar General. Did I check the price? No, this bag was $3, but I think I'll get my money's worth out of it because you do get 2 pictures. Now this I got for like $1 at the Goodwill months ago before they even went up on prices. I paid $1 for this. This is a good hunk of wood. This is wood cedar frame right here. Now, you know me, I like to use the back inside, kind of like a shadow box kind of thing. I'm showing you the bag right here. One side has glitter on it. The other side does not. So I'm going to go ahead and use the glittery side, okay, to get it out of the way. And then I could still save the back side and we could do something else with it. Also, you noticed it was a little too big. So the way I cut it is the moon and Santa and his sleigh at the top there are another little piece, and then keep the sides too, because you could use that for some border and some edging. But what I do is since I got to cut a lot of the top off, what you're going to see me do here is kind of like line it up how I want it at the bottom. And I know I'm out of screen here. I'm sorry, guys. But I'm kind of just creasing it so that I know where to cut it. You don't want to push it down too far, though, or it'll end up kind of wonky. Okay, so by the time I get the top cut off, now I'm just going to follow my lines where I made my creases. And again, I kind of cut on the outside of the crease to make sure I don't go too far in. But I ended up, when I edited this, I must have took this back out and trimmed it up 500 times. Because why measure? I don't measure things. We just fly by the seat of our pants here. Anyway, so here's the top part with this moon and the sleigh. I could make another picture with that. So heck yeah, we're going to keep that. So you see how it's not fitting? Yeah, well, it took me about 500 more tries to get that to fit. But you didn't want to see all that. Guys, use a measuring tape. It'll go faster, I promise. Now I'm going to use my purple glue stick. I didn't want to, since the smelly glue stick was a smaller one, I knew it'd take me even longer. And here I'm always fussing at my kids. You don't need chunks of glue stick to make that stick. And then look what I do. So hopefully none of them are watching. Anyway, so here I am going to take my little spatula scraper brayer thing again. And I'm just kind of getting all the air bubbles out and smoothing it out like butter, all that. And woo, I'm so happy with this. Now I got to cover up that edge because you can see the nails where they nailed the frame thing together. There's also a hole in the top of that. So I've got this ribbon from the Wally World last year on clearance after Christmas when everything went on sale. See, there's the hole. I guess they had a screw or something there. You saw the jute twine that they used to hang it with, but I don't know why the hole's in the middle. Anyway, we're going to get this all covered up with this pretty Let It Snow ribbon from the Wally World from last year. And it works out great, like 2 Let It Snows and 3 of the pine and pine cone parts. So I keep cutting off the Let It Snow part so that it all matches up because that's how weird I am. And do I throw those little Let It Snow pieces away? Heck no, I'm keeping those. I could put those on something else. I'm going to use my Aleene's tacky glue here because I didn't want to use hot glue, because if you use hot glue on the back of your ribbon, you can see where all the bumps and lumps are where you put the hot glue. So I'm going to use, and I didn't want to use my tight bond because that's for, you know, heavy stuff, and my wood glue's for the wood. So, aha, Aleene's to the rescue. Guys, you need a glue arsenal if you're a crafter. That's all I got to say. Now, there's a little bit of edge hanging over, but we're going to trim those up here in a little bit so you can see where the edges are kind of hanging off when I do get it in the frame. And I'm going to cut those off here in a little bit. But I'm going to take my matte Mod Podge, and I covered over that, and you can see I got bubbles. Do not panic. Parchment paper and your little heat press. If you don't have a heat press, you can use a regular iron. Just don't have the steam on. The parchment paper is just to protect whatever it is that you're, you know, pressing down. Plus, since I had put the coat of Mod Podge on it, had I just done that with the iron, yeah, there'd be glue all over my iron. But anyway, look at there. Got all the bubbles and creases out. Yay. Got 2 trees here. And I got these antlers just about a week ago from the Wally World. And here's some of that great plastic snow. Yeah, I'm not going to say what it is. So I took one of these trees. It's a smaller one. And I kind of flattened the back of it. Here, I'm trying to knock all the dust and stuff out. Anyway. And I'm going to kind of add that to our picture here to make it a little 3D-ish. So just a little hot glue. And I'm going to put this one more toward the back of the frame. That's what we're going to call it. We're going to call it a frame. So you can see I've got that smashed toward the back. Now our big one, that's a little bit taller, hot glue, but we're going to put this more toward the front of the frame. So you can see one's kind of set more closer to the front, the other one to the back. I was trying to give a dimension, but this isn't my strong suit. You know, because here you got this little deer, and now these trees look bigger than the deer, and, you know, anywho. I'm going to bust out this snow, and I didn't know the best way to do it, so I just bust out the hot glue. I do get my little, you know, we all have the little makeup plastic spatulas from Dollar Tree. So I got one of those, not plastic, the silicone spatulas from Dollar Tree that you find in the makeup section. Yep, I did get that out. And we're going to put this all around the bottom. And I did this like 2 or 3 times. Made it kind of come over the edge. See, there's my little silicone spatula. And to make sure I didn't burn myself too awfully bad. Now the deer looks like he's standing in the snow. Yep, okay. There we go. All right, I'm pretty happy with the way that looks. Okay. So now we're going to take our snow text and just a little paintbrush here. And I'm going to take it and try to get some clumps on it. And I'm going to kind of just take my trees. Guys, you know what I think this snow text stuff is? I'm also going to do the tops of my mountains. I think this snow text is white paint, glue, and sand. What do y'all think? I think I'm literally, instead of ever buying snow text again, I am going to mix up. This looks horrible right now. I know. Don't worry. Don't panic. I'm going to just buy some sand at the Dollar Tree, some white glue, glue, and then some white chalk paint and mix it up and see if I can get some snow text. Because that's literally what it seemed like. I looked like I was painting because I put it on my trees. You can see I put it on the house. I smeared it in the not real trees, but, you know, the actual trees in my hand, not the picture. Anyway, I know the snow at the top above the mountains looks horrible. Don't panic. Right now, I'm hot gluing my antlers on. Yes, I kept the jute twine on, but I'm going to take that off. So you see I'm getting a wipey, and I'm trying to fix this, and it's just making it worse. Don't panic, guys. If you don't like your snow text, get a wet wipe. I started getting I was trying to make snow, make it nice. I got after it with the wet wipe and then a paper towel. And there you go. So that looks so much better, right? We're going to use the same greenery and berries that we used on our ornaments and our birdhouse. And we're going to pile on the hot glue and kind of just put that on top of the horns right there. Did I call them horns and antlers earlier? Or did I call them something else? Anyway, I think I called them antlers. Or did I just I got this thing? Anyway, I glued the pine down first. And remember, got that at Hobby Lobby. And then these, I got at Walmart last year. And it's got little pine cones in it. Isn't it cute? And yeah, so this, and I just glued this on top. So this kind of all makes everything kind of cohesive and match. Other than the fact my ornaments are cute little whimsical animals. And the birdhouse and this little picture here look more elegant, more. Have you ever seen me make anything elegant before? Woo, that's a stretch, isn't it? Anyway, we're going to put 3 of these berries that I got in the pack at the Dollar Tree about a year or 2 ago, and I'm going to glue those on. Boom! So we have got so much hot glue in the corner of this frame, let me tell you, okay? All right, so I'm like, don't touch it, don't touch it. Let that hot glue dry. Because, I mean, look at that. Look at that. Okay, don't panic, don't panic. Okay, so now that it has set up and it has dried real good, we're going to go back to our Snow Tex sand, glue, and white paint. I guarantee you. Anyway, and I'm just going to kind of add it to the greenery and the berries, and I add some to the antlers. And we're going to add it where that hot glue is. Now, I realized later I still wasn't too happy. So you'll see in the final reveal that I found another little pine cone in all my collection. And I put it at the top where all that hot glue is piled up. You don't see it here, but you see it in the final review. Reveal, whatever you want to call it. To another hot mess of a disaster, and yeah, and here we go. So I got 2 wood pieces from the Dollar Tree. You see I made that little wreath thingy there. I bought that for $1 of all those rolls of already cut up meshy stuff. And I was going to make me this big wreath kind of thing, but yeah, that didn't work out. Changed my mind. And all I did was kind of roll it and scrunch it up. And then I've got these wooden rings. This is a smaller one. The one I'm going to use is a bigger one, but I was just kind of showing y'all how I did this. You just make the loop, make the knot, thread it through, boom, there you go. Okay, so just showed you that. I got a wood round from Dollar Tree, a snowflake from Dollar Tree, and that beautiful, beautiful napkin either came from Katie at Red Crafting. I'm losing it right now. It's late, guys. Or it came from my May with Craft Away with May. So, Lady Red Crafting. That's Katie at Lady Red Crafting. It came from one of those 2 beautiful ladies. Anywho, I'm going to take some burnt umber here and water it down. That is not Dawn, I promise. It's water. And wiped it down with a wipey. I like the wood grain on one side better than the other side. So, yep, like that side better. And going to leave my holes because we will need those. And then that is going to go on top of the wood round there. It's just to give it some backing to make it more sturdy. Now, you might have saw that I had the white to paint the snowflake. Changed my mind, wanted to go with plaster. I did fill the hole in where the hanger was on that. And so that's all good. Gonna let it dry. Taking this beautiful napkin here and taking my little water pen. I got it at the Dollar Tree. And just using my water pen to kind of get that pulled out. There's 4 separate pictures on there. Yeah, this just kind of, if you guys ever watched decoupaging, you guys probably know more than I do. Anyway, this turned out to be a hot mess disaster. I'm surprised I even got anything in this video to begin with. But anyway, you don't want the straight line edges. You kind of want it to look rough and kind of grungy. Well, okay, here's part of problem 553. I thought there was only that 1 extra ply to get off. Well, later, imagine this words. I go to Mod Podge this thing on, and I'll be darned if there wasn't another ply that I needed to pull off. I rubbed it, I touched it, I tried to make sure it was okay. No, of course not. Anyway, we're going to use my Mod Podge here and a fan brush, and we're going to get this on. And of course, there was care in it. Is that any surprise to anybody? Yeah, okay. So once I get the Mod Podge kind of spread around on my painted snowflake, and I did paint both sides of it, and I went with the prettier side, of course. And I lay my beautiful napkin on there, and I start kind of spreading it out, and there was still wet in a couple places, and I just thought, oh, okay, that's kind of blended in a little more. I was going to try the whole fancy paint thing with the blues and the grays and kind of make it all blend, and yeah, by the time I got, no, it wasn't happening. No, and see, that finger's been in urgent care, and we ain't even want to talk about it, especially if you hadn't had your supper yet. Okay, so anywho, so this is about the time when I'm getting these corners, I realized there was another ply that needed to come off. So this gets all wrinkly, messed up. I needed to iron it. It just, oh boy, y'all. Okay, so since I decided there's no way that I'm going to get this painted because of everything else, already a disaster, not even 5 minutes into this thing, that I'm just going to make like this little wreath kind of around the napkin right here. Okay, so I'm going to take just some picks from the Dollar Tree that I've had in my stash, and we're just going to glue these on. And I'm going to take 4 of these pieces, and we're just going to kind of glue one in each corner. I did go ahead and Mod Podge the whole snowflake, by the way, with a mat, because you know I don't like things shiny. I use my glossy stuff to get things to stick down, and then I use my mat to coat everything. And again, that's what I realized. Wow, I pretty much ruined this napkin. So we're going to have to do something else with that napkin, since there's 3 more pictures left, because I butchered this one bad. Anyway, so I'm trying to fix it. So got some more greenery. This is a little bit darker of a green with less kind of snowy floofy on it. And I'm going to kind of put that where all those guys met to fill those little middles in right there. Just like that. Bam. There we go. See, not looking too bad. Okay, except for the napkin. Don't look at that. And then I love this stuff. This is some good stuff Dollar Tree did come out with. I've had this in my stash for about a year or 2. I love this branch snowflakey stuff. I think it's Willow is what it was called. I'm just going to randomly just kind of put some glue on the end of this and just kind of stick these in here and there. So basically what we're making is a wreath, but a square wreath around the napkin. Anywho, and needed some berries, because what I was pointing to there is that there's berries in the bush at the bottom of the angel's feet right there. So I thought, okay, we need some berries in it. Well, of course, when you pop them off, they're styrofoam. They got the white or whatever they're made out of. So I got my red paint marker to paint them. Yes, this was a disaster, guys. Like, I'm dropping them. The tweezers are not working out well for me. Look at this. And then watch. I'll get the hot, like I can't even get a hold of it. And then when I do get a hold of it, I hot glue it and drop it on my napkin. So yeah, anyway, and then I rub it, and then it rubs the napkin off. This was like realization number 5 that, wow, there's another ply under that napkin. Anyway, I managed to get those berries on there. Oh boy, okay. All right, so now what's going to happen is we're going to put our snowflake on top. Bet y'all thought we're putting it, underneath, huh? Nope, on top. Okay, and so we're just going to put the hot glue just kind of in the midst of, I put way too much hot glue because all that I just went all the way around with, that didn't even touch that inner ring in there. Anyway, I pressed down on this pretty good and held it for a while. And you can see like I missed every bit of that. So I just go back in with my hot glue gun and sorry, my head, you can't see nothing right now. And just where I wanted to say petals of the snowflake. Yeah, that's not happening. The legs of the snowflake, I don't even know, y'all. It's stuck on there pretty good. Okay, now, before we because that was another mistake I almost made, is I almost glued this wood round onto the back, and I thought, whoa, wait, no, we've got to get our hanger on first. So I just get a piece of jute and I put it through the hole, tied in a knot, and I like to set things on fire. And here I go. I almost did it again. I almost tied that on, and I remembered, no, wait, I want to put some beads on. Whew, boy, I'm telling you guys, it has been a week. It has been a week. Oh, my. Okay. Anyway, this is just stemming off from the gingerbread walrus manatee flipper guy I made a week ago. Okay, yeah, you haven't seen that. You got to check that out. Boy. All right, so I decided to go for the kind of darker big beads. Yep, there we go, setting things on fire. Even came after you guys with that one. And so I'm going to take the big brown darker ones and then 2 smaller white ones. So I just kind of went with the dark to kind of go with the deer and everything that was in the napkin, and then the white to go with the snow. And I made it I put 2 big beads together at the top, so when you hang it, you've got the same on each side. Now, to adjust my jute and how long I want it, I kind of put my snowflake back there on top so I could see exactly how I wanted it to go. I'm just knotting this. Look, knotted that thing twice and didn't do it in the same place, so I had to knot it a 3rd time. so that it doesn't go back through. And then what I'm going to do is snip this off and set it on fire again. And I'm going to take my hot glue and put a little bit of glue in there, and then I'm going to pull that string back through so that that hot glue attaches to the wood so that the string and jute isn't coming back and forth through the holes. Anyway, I do it with the beads too later so that they're not flying all over. Okay, so I'm just trying to line this up, making sure everything is good. So that round in the back was just pretty much to give it a good backer. But then I also wanted to get some other greenery in there. You'll see here in just a second. So now this, I was good to go on this. I just put some hot glue all the way around that wooden ring there. And I tried to make sure my petals, legs, I don't know, on the snowflake were where they were supposed to be. Up, down, side to side. Floof it all out. And now I've decided, okay, so I got one of these rings from... yeah, that place. Yeah, Hobby Lobby, where everything's 50% off. Got this idea from Brenda. Thank you, Miss Brenda, which is one of our beautiful hosts with Rustic and Lace DIY. You go buy these things and you pull them apart, and it's a lot cheaper than buying the sticks of greenery and stuff. Get it out. And I've got like 3 or 4 different kinds of these things. I'm going to have to go get me some more too. You can see I'm having trouble trying to pull it apart. So anyway, I'm seeing if this is how I want it. And you kind of put it in between. You were calling them petals, okay, from this point on, guys. So I'm just taking these big pieces of pine greenery and I'm kind of sticking it in between the petals of the snowflakes there. See? And I'm going to go all the way around. I'm kind of making sure my white tooly stuff is out of the way so that stays all floofy, and I just kind of tucked it up underneath that. Now, I got that done, and I didn't show you, but you'll see in a minute. And now I'm showing you where I'm kind of putting some glue up in the bead there so that the beads aren't sliding down behind the wood round. They are going to stay put, okay? Now, I'm sure if you got too rough with it, it would, you know, they'd pop off and go. But this way, they're staying above the wood round. They're not sliding around, but you still got enough little give there to hang it up however you want. But there it is. Not too bad, not too shabby. Let me know what you think. I'm glad you don't get a close-up view of the napkin because that would be bad. Okay, now, here's one thing, guys. So I had this little sprig in my stash that had some pine, some berries, some pine cones, and this cute little bird. Well, in the napkin, the angel, she's looking up at a little bird in the corner. You guys need to let me know, bird or no bird? Bleh, bleh, bleh. Bird or no bird? Because that's the same kind of bird she's kind of looking at in the napkin. You can barely see it. Welcome to the What Would You Make collaboration, guys, where we have got to make some stuff with wood. We got Brenda, Christine, and Miss Lavender and Lace. You guys check out their channel links in my description box, as well as the playlist link to all the beautiful ladies that are here. All those ladies that are host and our guest host, Lavender Lace, those ladies are amazing. To DIY number 2. Since I can't keep up with myself and talk. But we all knew that anyway. So those cute 2 little critters I got from the Target dollar spot, or whatever they call their little thing. And then the sled, of course, came from Dollar Tree. This piece of wood I had from last year. My friend Shelly gave it to me. Thank you, Shelly. And I had used it, glued a bunch of stuff onto it, and I ripped it all off because it was terrible. It was horrible. And anyway, we're going to repainted it with the white, and now we're going to take our sled, and I'm going to paint the like rails of the sled with the black, and I'm going to antique wax the top part. That would be the wood part of the sled. The gold bows on the bear and the deer are going to go. These little guys are made out of wood, I think. Yeah. Anyway, and then I got this pair of skis in the Target dollar spot thingy, and they were only $1. So I thought, okay, this is going to be a cute idea. Okay, so I'm getting all this jute off, right? And these little things, the little poles that you shove into the ground to get yourself to go, that was just popped on there with a pointy metal thingy. Yeah, okay. And guys, I can't talk tonight. I'm like lost. Lord, boy, it has been a week. Man, okay, so the skis were just glued together. Okay, my Moose Man lovers, y'all love it up, love it up. Subscribe for the Moose Man. Guys, I'm seeing I have got like, 70% are watching but not subscribed. Come on, subscribe, y'all, subscribe. And hype this up, hype it up for the Moose. The moose needs to eat. I mean, you see how skinny he is? Yes, and look, it's so hard helping Mama because you get all dirty. I mean, oh my goodness. Oh, I've missed half of this. Y'all can watch. Anyway, y'all here for the Moose Man anyway. And the crazy shenanigans that I put y'all through. So we're going to take those skis, and I'm going to use the lacquer color because it is a deeper kind of red in my opinion. And I use the same brush that I used to put the antique wax onto the sled. And I didn't even rinse it out. So it already kind of gave it that brownish, rusty color. Anyway, and now I've jumped to bells, and I've got these red bells right here, and I'm just going to put a little bit of Mod Podge on them. And then once I kind of get them coated with the Mod Podge, I'm going to put some cinnamon here in a cup and throw those bells into the cup. Shake it, shake it, shake it, shake it, shake it. And there we got some rusty, crusty cinnamon bells. Now the silver little bells, I'm going to take my burnt umber, and I was going to paint them, and then the Mod Podge. And please ask me, I have no idea why I didn't just put the burnt umber on the Mod Podge and mix it up. Please don't ask, because I don't know. Okay, so because I wanted to give those like a darker color. It's not like you can tell when I'm done because they all look like brown cinnamon. But if you get up close, you can see the red peeking through the little red bells. And then these guys look brown. You don't see too much silver. But anyway, yeah, I'm just playing because I don't know what I'm doing. Anyway, I'm just giving them some cinnamon, and it smelled good. So I let those guys dry overnight. Nope, did not waste a bit of that cinnamon. That cinnamon that's left in the cup went right back into the jar. Now here's the ribbon we're going to use to string on our jingle bells. If you had a good enough needle that you could string through the bell, it would work great. But the red bells were not letting me put my needle through, so I just had to kind of get that through. Doesn't this look beautiful on the moose? Doesn't it though? Oh, okay, so I got all my bells on. Here's our little, we'll call it a platter. We got petals and platters, guys. Okay, now Moose Man is threatened by this deer right here. Y'all, I had to leave this in here. I'm trying to get the skis glued on to the bottom of the reindeer. The reindeer's going to be on skis, okay? Moose was not having it. Look, he's eating it. He's smacking at it. He's chewing on it. We had to take a time out. Anyway, but I guess it was a good thing because I forgot that I wanted to kind of like sand down the edges of the skis and kind of rusty them up, because me and my grungy, rusty, crusty, right? Okay, so we finally, after 30 minutes, get the little deer's skis glued on. Goodness. Okay, so now these are going to be the reins of the deer that connect to the sled, because I never said that, and y'all just thought I was rusty and crusty and some bells and playing with deers and polar bears, and yeah. Anyway, so we're going to put them back through the holes of the sled there. And now what I have to do is I kind of have to measure, because I just cut off a big piece of ribbon here, right? And so I'm having to measure, and it's like way too long. And yeah, Moose has come back. He's come back for seconds. I don't know. This reindeer's giving him a what for. So I realized I got to shorten this up a little bit and pull it in. And then I'm just going to tie a double knot on the end of each of these on the outside of the ski rings here. I don't know, guys. I have no vocabulary tonight. I am so sorry. But what else is new, right? Okay. So yeah, anyway, if you're liking this, give it a thumbs up. If not, give it a thumbs down, because it doesn't make me any difference. I mean, because it's all attention to the video. Make my little channel grow. Guys, I'm at like almost like 100. I'm at 1,175 subbies. I want to get to 1,200 subbies by the end of the year. I could do this. That's only like 30 more subscribers. Share it with your friends, everybody. Hype it up. Share it for the moose. To the cat lovers unite. Anyway, I'm gluing the little reins on the front of the deer here. And then I also kind of glued just that first bell on the side of his neck on both sides. There we go. Then he needed a little haircut trim because there was some glue left over from where that gold bow was on there earlier, right? Yep. And I'm again going to put glue here, just like I did with the snowflake wood round, so that this isn't sliding all over the place. We'll cut those off, and you know me, we're going to set things on fire. Kaboom, kaboom. All right, so there we go. So I got that all shortened up, and then I decided, okay, it was still kind of hanging, so I decided to take the ribbon and then also glue it to the top of his back legs there, just to kind of, you know, keep things kind of in line. And yes, it took me forever to adjust those bells how I wanted them, because they had to be mirror image on both sides. Yeah, I'm that loony of a tune. So, you know, anywho, okay. And it probably still isn't right, but that's okay. All right, now finally back to, I kept pulling this out and then I'd always go do something else. I was so back and forth on this. Okay, then it took me 20 minutes to figure out how I wanted to put Mr. Bear on here. But I finally decided we're going to put him kind of sideways. Look, I'm going to pat my bear. Now, I gave him a little bow with that same ribbon that I have on the deer there. Now, we're going to get everybody glued down to the wooden plank here. Yes. Okay. I'm just doing this for video purposes. You guys make sure you use like some Tite Bond or some wood glue. But Mama here was in a hurry because, yeah, it's like I said, been a week. Had thrifted Thursday, go out Thursday. And before then and after then, yeah, trip to urgent cares because, yeah, this was Moose's fault too. But I'm not going to go into detail. Just, it explains the Band-Aid on my finger. Anyway, we're going to add just some little embellishments here. You can see I got 2 trees from the Dollar Tree, but those have been in my stash. I've repurposed them several times. I am not gluing the trees down. I'm just going to set them on there because I might want to use them for something else. And those little presents came in a big package from Hobby Lobby, 50% off. I'm just using the red and the green to go with, you know, their little red and green bows. Now, it was too empty in the front, so I got this wooden Believe that came from Dollar Tree in my stash. And I'm going to antique wax it up. You see 2 of the little cubes from the Dollar Tree because I was going to use that to prop this sign up because I want it angled. I don't want it straight up and down. But they were too big. So anyway, I figure it out. So anyway, after I get the antique wax on, I then wipe it off a little bit and then I put a little bit more back on. You guys, if you've watched me before, you know I put it on, I take it off, I put it on, I take it off, I put it on, I take it off. Anyway, so it ended up I did not need to use the cubes. I was able to put some hot glue on there and I was able to angle it and it stood up by itself for now. Now, if Moose gets a hold of it later, that might be another story. Anywho, we're just going to put a little touching up on this. We're going to take some of the snow text that I'm not very fond of, but it does add a little bit of whimsy to it here. And so I'm just putting it on the top of our Believe. I'm putting it on the ends of his skis. We'll put it on the end of Mr. Bear's sled. And then I go kind of silly and we're going to put it on their ears. And we're going to put it on his antlers. And I'm going to put some at the front of his sled. And I thought about, I've got all that flaky snow and all that fluffy messy stuff, and I was going to put it on the bottom, you know, of the wood piece there, but then I decided, yeah, you know what? No, I ain't making all that mess. This probably is not going to stay together. I just thought, see, my trees aren't glued down, but I don't want them glued down. Okay, so that's why they keep falling off. But anyway, I'm probably going to take this apart. Now, the deer and the bear, they'll probably stay together, but staying on the slice of wood, I doubt that'll happen. Anyway, guys, here's your final review. So here is our beautiful snowflake with petals and our destroyed napkin that I totally like. Yeah, anyway, but didn't turn out too bad, but you know, from using the Goodwill Thule scraps and, you know, just this was all in my stash basically, guys. And thank you either May or Katie for that napkin. I can't remember which one. Both of you have sent me napkins, but anyway, you can see I tried to put some of that snow text on the bottom, but I just didn't like it. It was just too much. But anyway, isn't the bear the cutest little thing? Isn't he cute? He's so cute. And then there's our deer, and he is pulling the sleigh for Mr. Bear. Oh, he's so cute. So, guys, remember, this was part 2 of Woodland, because you guys had requested part 2. I know I only did 2 things here, and maybe not too much woodland with the snowflake except for the deer that's in the picture. But if you missed part 1, I will link that here. But in part 1 were these cute little tumbling tower block ornaments I made. And this little cardinal on the birdhouse made with pine cones for the roof. In the little box from the Dollar Tree down there. See there, see there. And then this beautiful little thing here, that was a bag from the Dollar Tree. The antlers from Walmart. I made all that in the first Woodland Part 1. If you see some other things here, that was from Thrifted Thursday the other day. Go check it out. Thank you guys for being here. I know this wasn't much, but it's all I could do, and I appreciate y'all stopping by, watching the shenanigans. Thank you so much for all the love on the gingerbread video. Here's some things you're gonna need with the bees. A styrofoam cone, a styrofoam ball, some little booties from the Dollar Tree that I got about a year or two ago. Some of that Chanel yarn from the Dollar Tree about a year ago. The red came from Walmart. The green was a $1 green bandana from somewhere. I'm not going to use those dowels. And then you can see I got a little wooden carrot that you can find at the Dollar Tree during Easter. I'm going to take my fuzzy yarn here and we are going to start gluing it on at the top of our cone. And we're going to do the thing where we go around and around and around and around and around. If you see me have lots of trouble with hot glue, yes, I will not show you all the 3rd-degree burns, basically, that I have on my fingers from this guy. And you will see his demise at the end of the video. So make sure you hang around. And no, it was not Moose's fault. It was all mine. Anyway, you're just wrapping that all around as tight as you want, as fluffy as you want. After I got it all wrapped, I went back around it again, just kind of hodgepodgey all over. Anyway, now we're going to do the same thing to the ball. I kind of stuck it down in there and then I wrapped it, and this was a big hot mess that I took out because you all didn't want to see all that. And I was trying to go crisscross, round and round, and I'm trying to think, you know, you make the yarn balls that cats like to tear up. Well, surely this isn't going to be that hard. My God, y'all. I need to sit and learn how to make a yarn ball because I'm trying to just get the yarn around the styrofoam ball itself. And I had nothing but trouble with the skein of yarn. Skein. Joanna, help me with yarn here. I don't know. Anyway, skein of yarn. Guys, you see all these knots in this thing? I had to grab the end that was probably not the correct end. I fought this. This was about the 100th time I fought it. That's why it's, yeah, I said quite a few pretty words too, but that's okay. I finally decided we're done. It's good enough. I don't care if you can still see the styrofoam. We're done. And I just try to shove it down in the styrofoam ball to make sure it stays. Now, we're going to attach the head to the top. I did on the bottom of the styrofoam cone. I did seat the bottom with the yarn, but not the top where his head is going. So we made sure for now his head is attached. Now I want to attach his shoes. These are what the dowels were going to be for, but then I was like, no, I don't really think that's going to work out very well. So we're going to cut those off, and here's what I do. Okay guys, corrupted video time. So I lost my footage of how I attached his body to the shoes and how I made his arms. So you saw that I had those wooden dowel rods. I was going to put the dowel rods in his shoes and then up through the bottom, and I just thought that's probably not really going to work out to my best advantage. So I got these little foam balls, 1.3 inch, got them at Walmart. I just stuffed one of these down in each shoe, and that made it somewhat more of a base for his bottom to sit on. And then for his arms, it's like, it's wire. They're like pipe cleaners, like a Chanel stem, but it's just a roll of it, and it's wire, and it's braided with like jute. So that's what I made his arms out of. I cut a piece and then cut another little piece to make him his little fingers. So that is how I got his shoes attached to his body, and then there's his arms. Sorry you missed out on that, but I'm sure you guys could figure it out, if not something better. Yeah, okay, so did you get that? Yeah, there's a lot of lost, corrupt video footage throughout this whole entire thing. So besides snowmen being a hot mess, the hot mess was a hot mess. Okay, so I'm just going to do my snip and rip method. They're about 1 inch wide. Don't ask me how long, probably at least 12 inches, if not longer. just a piece of the red and a piece of the green, and I just kind of got up that end because that was like a bandana, not really a piece of material. And I'm going to layer my red. See, he's got his arms and his feet on. Yeah, so where that footage went, I don't know. Probably along with the other 10 takes of footage I had that I can't find. But hopefully that will be resolved soon. I'm so excited. Okay, anyway. News later if I can get it going. So I'm just going to tie that around, and that's his little scarf. You can see his little arms there, you know, cutesy cutesy with that jute wire wreath stuff. All right, so I'm doing the snip and rip on the ends just to make his scarf a little bit shaggy there, and I end up later on ripping it more and cutting a little bit more off. Yeah, I'm going to keep those 2 little scraps over there because we're going to need that here in a little bit. And so there he is. Yeah, not looking too bad. I did have some inspiration for this. I will show you that inspiration here toward the end so you can compare it to how he turns out. I got 2 buttons that are going to be his eyes, which it don't stay that way. Here's the carrot, and I cut the tip off the carrot and then painted it orange, and then with pumpkin orange by Waverly, and then I sanded the edges around it because, you know, I'm all about the rusty, crusty, primitive stuff, right? If anything's primitive, it's this dude right here. Okay, so I'm going to glue his eyes on, right? There's some more burns right there. That's Gracie hanging out quite a bit with me today. And then we're going to glue his nose on. And then once I get his nose glued on, I was like, yeah, just something was not working out. So this is a progress over like 2 or 3 days of fixing this dude, trying to make him better. And then he totally falls apart, literally. Anyway, okay, so you saw that 3 buttons I had there. I just glued them on top of each other. And then I'm going to glue that. Yep, nice Gracie butt, huh? Glue that. Sorry, guys. Gracie was all lovey-dovey. On top of his scarf, just little embellishment. And then I do later take 2 more little black buttons that are his eyes. I turn them into his buttons on his belly. See, I'm dying. This thing is cracking me up. Okay, so this is day 2. Okay, Joanna and Tiffany have introduced me to these wonderful glasses that you can get at Hobby Lobby. Y'all check them out. Joanna's DIY Life and Tiffany is with Simply Blessed Crafts. Y'all check their channels out. Anyway, there's the inspiration I got off Pinterest. Okay, so I show you now, not later like I thought. So here we go. I get the glasses on, and then after that I was like, he still needs something else. So this is like day 3. I took one of those little hats from Dollar Tree you could get at the fall, changed out the material, and it matched his scarf. All reveals will be at the end. So here's DIY number 2, or better yet, Hot Mess Snowman number 2. So all of this stuff came from Dollar Tree. So you see I had the big snowman sign with the let it snow, and then I've got my wooden snowman, I got the mop thing, I've got the snow globe thing. I've had all this stuff in my stash. Yeah, we craft and stash, and then I go buy more stash. But anyway, the idea is to like make more of a 3D snowman in the snow globe. I wanted to say let it snow. I liked the red glitter, but it kind of fell apart. Anyway, first of all, we need to get all this paper off it. It's got to go. And also, I popped all the pieces off our wooden snowman there because we're going to make him fluffy. You can see those are sitting off to the side. And we end up not using those anyway. So we're going to take our little mop head here, and I kind of take my pencil and kind of draw so that I don't, because we're going to do something else for his hat up there, okay? So all I'm going to do is I'm going to hot glue everywhere underneath that line that I drew, which I did not pay attention to anyway. See, this is why I don't measure and bother with any of that mess, because despite the fact I drew a line, you can tell just by looking at this, I still went way above that line. So I end up cutting off all the extra. Now, guys, we all know these things are a mess. And, you know, if you split the fuzzy part down the lines, it'll cut good, but I couldn't do that with him, obviously. So I cut around just to get him the basic shape, and now we got a big mess. And there's the big mess of trying to get the paper off, which took forever. And, guys, this one is going to go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So just hang with me, because I would do something, and then I was like, wait, I got to do this first. And then I'd be like, wait, no, I need to do this first before I do this. And then anyway, so there we go. Our globe is clean, our snowman's ready. I'm still trying to decide which let it snow I want. Do I want to put his original nose back on? There's the Moosey Man. But I was like, oh, no. I went digging through my Easter tote and thought about all the bazillion kinds of carrots I had. I found this little brush bottle carrots that are about the same size as his wooden nose. I'm going to pop off the green and I'm going to pop off that little wooden round that he sits on. And that's going to be his nose. I thought that looked a lot cuter than just putting the piece of wood back on, and Moose thought the same thing. Yeah, here he is. Hot Mess Moose Man. There you go, ladies. There's your Moosey Man. See, just showing you that those came from Easter. Now I'm in the debate, do I want to put his wooden scarf back on, or do I want to take some material and make him a scarf? So I'm kind of like, Moose is kind of telling me, go with the material, Mom. No, we don't want the wood piece. He's eating the end of that wood. Yeah, okay. So anyway, I went ahead and I went with, let's go with the material. So I snipped and ripped again. Just 2 more pieces, and we're wrapping it around his neck. I'm making all of these snowmen kind of the same vibe with the red and the green, because my youngest daughter, my Maddie, I love you, baby, she has snowman and does the traditional red and green vibe. So I'm trying to make her some snowmen with the red and green vibe to give her some decor. And now I'm going to take that same thing, and we're just going to make him a little beanie on top of his head. And you're probably thinking, I'm sure you're thinking, because I didn't think of it till later, I'm going to put this beanie on and not realize, well, he's got that little pom-pom kicked out to the side of his head for the piece of wood right there. Here I am fighting this thing, thinking, why can't I get this on here right? And not once did it dawn on me, he's got that wooden pom-pom where the hat is supposed to be out to the side. I just want to make him a beanie on top, and y'all, Moose was trying to tell me something when he was chewing on the end of that piece of wood right there, because I didn't understand him, though. I need to learn how to speak cat. You think I could by now. Anyway, so I'm going to pull it up like that, and I'm going to take this extra fluff, because, of course, I didn't throw it away that I trimmed off the mop head there. And I'm going to stuff all of this back into his hat to make the hat kind of more poofy and fluffy. And this stuff was so staticky and sticking to the hat. And, oh, my Lanta, y'all are lucky I cut all this out. Oh, boy. Each of these projects, took me 3 days each. That's why these last couple that you're about to see, here's where I realized, wait a minute. I'm making him a beanie, but yet I got that over. So I'm trying to pull the hat over to the side, and it's not going to work. So we just going to cut it off. Here, Moose had a reason for chewing on that. He was trying to give me a heads up to tell me, Mom, you got to get rid of that. Anyway, thank you, Moose Man. It just took me a while to understand. I'm taking a piece of that green and tying it up at the top to give him his little beanie, because I think those are cute. Anyway, and look, that fuzz, oh my gosh. Anyway, we got it all cleaned up, so ready to go. I tried to keep the back as flat as I could. Y'all like, subscribe, comment, hype, hit the notification bell. This hot mess tries to be here every Sunday, and it ain't no telling what you're going to get. Oh boy, this week I'll be surprised if I don't lose 20 subscribers. Okay. Oh, man. Anyway, so I snipped and kind of ripped the top of his hat to make it fuzzy. Here I am setting his nose on, but have I glued it on yet? No, let's just go back to the globe. Oh, yeah, gotta glue his nose on. So I just hot glue his nose back on. I put the end, and then I put a little bit of glue on the tip up there, and then fluffed him back up. Okay, let's put him to the side, back to the snow globe. So this was a packet. It came from Hobby Lobby, but I got it from Shelly. Thank you, Shelly. And we're going to take this beautiful snow paper here, because I wanted it blue, because I wanted it to look like he was kind of in a snow globe. So here I am trying to piece it and line it up, and I did really good, but by the time I was finished, it was not lined up anymore. But you know me, that's how it goes. We're going to Mod Podge this down, just kind of slopping that all over. And then we're going to take our paper, and if you see me throw my hands in the hair a lot, like, it's because I've been frustrated, and I cut out a lot of stuff y'all did not see. The frustration level was high on this baby. Okay, once we get that on, once it dries, I'm showing you, I'm just going to take my heat press and press it on there for official, make sure it sticks. So I've done that, but, you know, you don't need to see dry time, and you guys, most of you know how to do all this. Anyway, so I'm taking my little razor X-Acto knife there, and I'm cutting off the scraps, and you darn right I'm keeping those scraps. I ain't throwing those away. And we're using the back side. I'm not using the side I took all the paper off, but we will cover that. And so now I'm taking my sander, and, you know, you do the old sand thing and get that all done, cleaned up, right? Okay. And now I take my matte Mod Podge, and I coated that whole thing and made sure I got my edges really, 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 really good. Okay. And so that's done and taken care of. And now I don't even remember what I do next. Yep, there go the hands again. Okay. Okay. So see, I'm trying to show you, I want to go around the edge with something, but I got to figure out this Let It Snow. I really wanted the red one, but this pulled off the original plaque, and I jacked it all up. And I was like, I want this, but it looks terrible. But then I messed with it some more, and I was like, aha! It was like 3 or 4 pieces of stuff. So I managed just to get it off. And of course, I rip it all off on top of the wet Mod Podge. So then I had pieces of cardboard stuck in my wet Mod Podge. Anyway, okay, so I've decided that. And then I've decided I need my white because I need to go around the edging all the way around the edge. Yeah, sorry, I'm out of focus. Not out of focus, but yeah, that too. But out of frame here. I'm just taking my sponge brush and just going on the edge so that that brown of the MDF board mess doesn't show. I'm not worried about how that back looks. The Mod Podge was dry at this point, so I was able, any paint that got on the front, I could just wipe it off with a wipey. So now I'm showing you, I want to take this pom-pom, and we're going to go around the edge with hot glue all the way around, right? Okay, well, wait, no, not yet. Let's go ahead and cover the back. We'll come back to the pom-poms later. Stay tuned. Okay, so this is just that self-adhesive wallpaper you can get at the Dollar Tree, okay? The way this looked, and yes, I almost glued it on, put it on backwards. Sure did. Looked the same kind of wood as the Let It Snow that I'm going to glue at the bottom. The wood, the way it looked almost looked close and looked the same. So now we're going to fancy it up. Take my scraper, make sure it's all smooth like butter. Now I'm going to take that and cut that all the way around. And I should have waited and painted the edge until I was done, because guess what? I got to go around and paint it again. But what I'm going to do now that I've cut that wallpaper off, that is Mod Podge, not paint. Since I already Mod Podged the top and then put this on and then cut it, I wanted to make sure all those edges were sealed real good, so I hit it with the Mod Podge again. Now let's go back to the pom-pom. I'm so sorry, guys. This is literally how I did it. I could have been nice for y'all and put this all in order and cut and moved clips, but this is how my brain worked on this, okay? Literally. The way you're seeing it is how it was filmed and how I did it. Yeah. Oh, train wreck derailments this week, friends. Phew. Thank you, my subbies. Thank you all for hanging in there with me despite all this hot mess train wreck. Yike. Anyway, there's our pom-poms all the way around the edge. Just do a little bit at a time so we can follow. Okay, now back to the Let It Snow sign. Okay, yes, that is glitter and it's driving me nuts, but hang on, folks. We'll take care of that in a minute. So I'm just going to use some Titebond around the edge, and then I smear it with my finger a little bit all over, and then I just take a little bit of hot glue, but I don't clump it on, because since the cardboard got a little bit thinner, it's more like cardstock, and I don't want it to show through where the lumps of hot glue are. So anyway, that was more the reason for the Titebond. So now we're going to take our matte Mod Podge, and yeah, fingers flying everywhere. Phalanges. Okay, and I'm going to take the Mod Podge, and we're going to cover over all that red glitter, because that's got to stop coming off. You think I would have done that a long time ago, but yeah, I wanted the red glitter, but it's got to stop falling off. So this kind of dulled it down a little bit, but that's okay. See the brown? I also hit it with the walnut Tim Holtz Distressing Ink too, but I didn't show that part because by the time I played with it and wiped it off, it is a little darker around the edges, but not too much. Okay, so now I'm just going to make sure all that's dry. So now we're all dry and back to Mr. Snowman. So I'm just taking my pencil to kind of just lightly draw some lines on there so I know where to set him after I put the hot glue on him to hopefully set him back in the right spot, unlike the way I did the hat earlier. But, you know, hey, it still works. Okay, so we're just going to pile the hot glue on the back of this thing all over, off the bottom of him onto my arm and everything else. Okay, so flipping him over, I'm trying to find my lines I drew. Yes, he sticks out of the top a little bit, but that's okay. He's still stinking cute after all of this, and I'm pushing and shoving and for 20 minutes to make sure he sticks. Now I'm going to fluff him all up. Do I give him eyeballs? No, I didn't want him to have eyeballs. He's kind of like the gnomes where their hats cover their eyeballs. Yeah, I should have put his nose up higher toward his hat. That probably would have made more sense. Anyway, you'll see that baby at the final review because I added some more to him. Okay, here's another cute little project. Still going with that red and green theme for my girl. And so we got one of those little shelf sitters from Dollar Tree. Here's the little round cutting boards from Hobby Lobby. That's 50% off right now. They're in the fall. I'm going to cut these sticks that I had in my stash at 6 inches. And because I kind of have them going at an angle, because you know me, I like them wonky. There's my Gracie Lou again. My Gracie Lou has, I don't know, she's been all lovey lately. I don't know what she's done. She's probably done something somewhere. Slapped her brother around or something and didn't want me to know about it. Anyway, so after I measured those sticks 6 inches, I just cut them off, sand them off. I also sand the little cutting boards just to make sure they were all roughed up and were going to hold my paint. Now, I'm going to kind of put the sticks where I want them and once again, take my pencil and trace it so that I kind of keep that top part. These are going to be snowmen. Duh. That's what we're doing, snowmen. And the top part's his hat. And of course, the bottom part is his head. And right now I'm telling you, okay, we're going to color the sticks and those top part of the cutting boards black in ink and the bottom part white. And there you go. That's what I did. But then I'm like, wait, I was supposed to stick with the red and green. Well, dadgummit, why did I do those black? I guess it's just a habit. Snowman, black hat, what? Okay, so one of them's going to be fern green, and then the other one is going to be the crimson red. So that'll keep us with our red and green theme, and boom, there you go. I did use my Pouncer sponges to make the snowman, the white part, because it gave it a little bit of texture, like it actually was snow, so it was kind of bumpy. You can see it when it gets more up close later. So anyway, so I just painted that red and that green right over the top of the black. So here goes me sanding, distressing, and it turns out pretty cool because see, you can see the wood and the black because that was all, this is all real wood. It's not just the MDF mess. So I do the same thing around the top of his hat. I don't do it to the white part on the snowman head. I was kind of undecided if I wanted to do that. So I just did it to the hat and then the brim of the hat. So see, you get, and I really got the corners so you can see the natural wood, but you can also see the black that I painted it first. So I guess kind of a happy accident there. Yeah, we're just going to go with that. I'm going to use just a couple drops of Titebond and then just a couple drops of my hot glue for that for the temporary permanent hold. And I'm putting them on wonky because you know me, wonky, 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 wonky. The donkey, donkey, donkey. And then there's my red one. So I kind of tried to make them kind of, you know, opposite wonkies. Anyway, so the red one's going to be our girl, the green one our boy. We got those carrots again. This is what I did earlier with my other one. We just chop off the carrot top there. And yep, I kept those. I'm not throwing them in the trash. We're going to sand those babies down again. We're going to paint them with the pumpkin. And then I sand them down around the edges and distress them later. Okay, there we go. And I took my pencil and while I was not filming, because I have got to look at a picture to draw some faces. So I was looking at my picture off of Pinterest, just finding some whimsical faces, drawing them, tracing them out with my pencil. And there was a lot of erasing and redrawing and yeah, till I got it where I wanted it. Now I'm just taking my Posca paint markers and just making and drawing my little faces here. So this is my dude. This is Caden. Say hello to Caden. This is Caden. And this little lady over here is Maddie. Say hello to Maddie. And first I do the black and then I go back with the white to add the dots and the other stuff and all that. And then I got to go back again with the black to kind of tidy up some of the white mess I made. The white spaces I'm leaving in their mouth is a little bit of a tongue. And the picture I saw left the snowman's tongues white. So I guess snowmen have white tongues. I don't know. I thought about painting them pink, but then I was like, well, I don't know. See, she got little eyelashes. Look, ain't she cute? Oh, they're not done yet. Nope, nope, nope. After that black dried, I went with my white, and we kind of painted all those little tiny details that kind of make their, so you know where their eyes are kind of looking with the dots and all that kind of stuff, and kind of brightened up the tongue there a little bit and the insides of the eyes and all that kind of stuff. Yep, played with that. And then I go back with my black after that white dried to kind of outline my edges a little bit better where I kind of got out of line with the white some. So, yeah, I kind of fought and battled these paint pens too. I kept calling them paintbrushes, didn't I? Yeah, buddy. Okay, so there they are. Aren't they adorable? Okay. Gonna take my pink distressing ink, and it's like a lighter pink. I can't remember. I got all these in like a variety pack on clearance at Michael's months ago. And I just taken my little finger dauber there, and I got that in the ink. I later get some actual acrylic paint and stick my finger in it and put it on there because the next day this dried and you could barely see it. This was like a vintage linen or something like that I used for Caden over there. And that too it turned out. So I used toasted marshmallow acrylic paint and just stuck it on with my finger. And then for pink, I just used like a light pink to make their cheeks a little bit brighter. So they'll look a little different later, but hey, it's whatever you want to do. There you go. I can see I just used some Titebond to glue their noses on. And now you knew it was coming, either antique wax or the walnut distressing ink. So I'm just going around the hat. Once again, I did not do the snowman part because I was afraid that was going to be too much. I don't know. I may go back later and try it. You just never know. But I'm just kind of going around their hat and the brim and trying to not get their head, which I, amazingly enough, did not. And then, of course, you know me. Let me put it on and wipe it off. And I also kind of go after their nose. I'm very, very carefully trying to tappity tap around his nose a little bit and go around the edges. See there? See? And she don't have it yet, but she's going to. Maddie's going to get her little nose there. And I'm just very carefully trying to go around the edge where I sanded it and also kind of give it some lines. Like, you know, usually when you see a carrot, they got the lines on them from their ridges and stuff. So, yeah. See there? Isn't that cute? Okay, guys, take 3 of lost footage. This was just a real quick get-together. It's one of those little chalkboards from the Dollar Tree, a snowman from the Dollar Tree, and a snowflake from the Dollar Tree. The snowflake gets painted with the white. For the snowman, I only clipped his hat off. So we're only going to use his hat, and the hat will get painted black. I'm going to take my antique wax here, and these two are going to have a fit with each other. And I'm just going to do the wood part in my antique wax. You'll also see that this little guy will kind of go here in the middle. The hat of the snowman goes at the top. I used a white paint pen to paint Frosty's baby pick, and there's a little bow in the corner. So I'm sure y'all could figure that out. Sorry again. Yep, gotta love. That was the perfect way to end it. I did make one of those last year in another video. I'll try to remember to attach it in the description box or here at the end. And that one came out a lot better than that one just did. So here's Frosty's baby pick. I put just some paint marker green and red dots there to look like holly. Here's our little hot mess styrofoam, wonky, nerdy, goofy looking snowman where his eyes turned into his buttons. And just wait for it here in a minute. There's the meltdown again. Yeah, he looks like he's kind of happy about his meltdown. I thought I made him a wonky mouth. And here you can see where I took toasted marshmallow for his cheeks. You're my favorite flake. And then I actually took a light pink acrylic paint to do her cheeks. And then added a little snowflake with some twine at the top of their hat to cover that hole. There's our snowman, let it snow. I put a button on his tie up there on his hat. And I also put some green buttons with a red pom-pom for some buttons on his belly. And there we go. Let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. I hope you enjoyed these cute snowmen. That dude, he just gets funnier, and there was a disaster. Yeah, anyway, we won't discuss that. And no, it was not Moose or anybody else. That was my own fault because I got too much junk in this room. And if you like what you see, support the Moose Man and my craft habit. Buy us a coffee with that QR code. If you're still here, you are the true MVPs. I love you guys. Have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. See you soon.